ISUPK.
That's looked at as something we got to keep on the low. You know what I mean? You ever heard that term, stop snitching? Well, stop telling on the person that's molested is just as prevalent as stop snitching. So as soon as you touch a child and the child goes to tell the parent believes who? The person that, right, they believe the abuser, and then what does that do to the child? It makes them never talk about it again. So what I applaud Irritated Genie and his Straight Black Pride movement, they need a hand. As well as I applaud Commander General Hunter, ISUPK, because we are the front runners for what really affects the black community. We have to deal with every aspect, so I don't want to take up all the time. Y'all know I talk to death, for those that know me, so I want to give Irritated Genie time to speak as well.
What I want to do, kind of talk to people. First of all, thank you, brothers and sisters, for coming out. I always say it's very important to understand. It's a lot of different things that our people will come out for. But when you really want to know what the courage is, I'm just being honest. You have to look at the things that nobody wants to deal with. See, anybody can come out and debate things that you can't do nothing about. Debate things you can't actually pinpoint. But when we're talking about people touching our children, violating our children, and continuously doing it and destroying the lives of our people, that means once you're aware of it, you become responsible. Once you become responsible, if you've ever been involved in it, you got to deal with your own self, whether it happened to you or whether you've done it to someone else. And so what happens is this is real things that require the people who are not afraid and are not fans, but are people who say, I'm brave enough to step up and deal with real problems. So I kind of think as we start the discussion, before we get into the lecture, I want to just kind of tell how it is. Because anybody, pretty much we have in here, brothers and sisters who will be considered, quote-unquote, conscious community, and our Hebrew Israelite brothers and sisters. Now, if you know anything about the history, it would never seem that there would be a time we would come together, working together. So, I want to kind of talk about how it happened, and I'm going to tell my side of the story. Then, of course, there's always, they say, three sides of the story. One side you tell, the side somebody else tell, and then the real story. Well, my side of the story is, when I was 15 years old, a young lady told me that she was sexually abused. She was my best friend, and we were in high school. And she told me that she was in Jamaica, and one of her family members raped her. At that time, when I heard that, I never in my life believed something like that could exist. Because I didn't have experience in growing up, so I didn't really know anybody would do something like that. I thought that was like some weird thing you heard on the news, or children would talk to Bunny Man or something like that in the woods. I didn't know people would actually do it. So when she told me that, my first introduction to that at that age was a sister who was black. So in my mind, this is a black thing. So I was just thinking this one guy doing this, and at that moment, I'm just saying what went through my head. I'm like, I'm gonna kill this guy. Because anybody that would rape a child is sick. And so from that time, something she said in me opened up something in me. And like from 15 to 18, every sister I met, it was the same basic tagline. Somebody in my family molested me. I've never told anybody before. You were the first person I ever told. I don't know why I feel comfortable telling you. And I guess it was a blessing and a curse at the same time, because I'm hearing this over and over and over, and I'm like, why are they telling me? But then I start saying, well, if they telling me, obviously I'm supposed to hear this. By the time I was in my 20s and in college, I probably heard it so many times, hundreds of times, it began to get to the point where I could identify when it was happening. Like I could see somebody who had been through it and understand, wow, she's been abused. Because it was so frequent, I started picking up the rhythms of the things that come out of it. And so I got into an organization, and one of the reasons I joined the organization, because it wasn't religious or anything like that, but just some brothers strong from the street, and said we need to help our community. I know I'm talking longer than you. You say you talk long. You don't know, Brother Tazaryach don't know what I'm talking, so I'm going to speed it up a little bit. But I feel this is important because this unit here is something special. So let me speed it up a little bit and say it, but where was I in the story? Y'all was listening, y'all know where I was. I lost myself. Let me see if y'all listen. Where was that? That's right. Okay. When I got into the organization, these brothers were saying, a lot of our women are being sexually abused. We got to do something about it. So I was like, yo, this is my spot right here. They soldiers, and they talk about this. I want to do something. They talk about we're going to do something about it. And we start having lectures talking about it. And I was just a young guy then. I wasn't doing the speaking. But after I began to do the research, I started realizing, whoa, this is not something black. It's black now. But this didn't come from us. I didn't know that. And once I did that, I said, well, this is a big problem. And then we was fighting racism and sexual abuse. I didn't know the two had nothing to do with each other. Once I figured that out and realized how the victims of sexual abuse in our community many times can turn towards homosexuality, we started lecturing on this. This is 97. I'm doing lectures on the feminization of the black male. And as I began to do those, and the CDs go around and the videos go around, brothers start coming up to me, or brothers that I'm soldiers, and say, "Side, come here, Genie, man, keep doing what you're doing, it's important." And I'm like, yeah, you know what? No, brother, it happened to me. I'm like, whoa. Because I knew it was happening to our women, because I heard hundreds of sisters, by now thousands of sisters. But I ain't know that nobody was doing this to brothers, because I'm like, what dude would do this? And so I'm like, nah. And so it hurt me so much, because these are strong men who I respect, and they definitely never told nobody, but now they telling me, now to me it becomes even worse, because I'm like, this has got to stop. Because you mean to tell me my brother got to go his whole life dealing with this pain, ain't got nobody to talk to. And I can just imagine how he feels, and not knowing that this is going on, I make comments all the time about stuff that if I knew my brothers and sisters were going through that, I wouldn't be making those comments. So long story short, we've been doing this for a long time. And when we bring this up, no matter where I go in the country or the world, nobody wants to talk about it. A little bit in certain parts of Africa, but mostly, people do not want to talk about it. And I start realizing, wow, this is really deep. Here's a real problem. This ain't no game. These are real people that are our friends and family, or some of us going through something. And when we bring it up, don't nobody want to talk about it. Now, my sister, and more recently, I will say this, and I'm going to speed it up, but this is really important too. Even me, I may be evolving, because for me, it's always been, I want to get to the heads. Whoever's putting their hands on children, I want the body. I want this to end. But I'm realizing now, there's so many people who have been involved in it, or even say that some of them might have been 12 years old doing something to a 6-year-old because of what happened to them. They're not active pedophiles, but the reason they don't want to talk about it is not because they think that it should continue, but because they did it, and if I'm talking chopping heads, they feel like their head getting chopped too. Now, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I have a 4-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old son. I don't want to be a hypocrite. You put your hands on my children, I'm going to kill you. There's no discussion. I don't want to hear your explanation. I don't care what your age is. You're going to die. And anybody tries to stop you is going to die as well. So I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I'm going to kill you. That's my word on everything I live on. You're not putting your hands on my children and walking away breathing. It's not going to happen if I know it happens. I don't care where you are. I'm going to find you. I'm going to kill you. That's what I believe any man should do. But I will say, the problem is so deep, man. We have to have this dialogue and let everything come to the surface, because it's a lot of people that are in pain who are not continuing this abuse, but may have done something in the past. It's very recent for me to find out, talking to people, And we need to have a discussion with the whole community so we can clean up our community. So long story short, it's a little bit of background. Doing this work, I'm looking around for who got the courage to do it, and I'm African nationalist, and I'm in DC walking around Gallery Place, and it's these Hebrew Israelite brothers dressed all different and everything like that, and I mean, they calling the white folk devils and everything. I'm just sitting there, I like these brothers, man. I mean, they want devil, I'm talking to you. And I mean, I'm saying, hey, you do it like that? So I'm watching, and I never forget. I was watching on TV, because I saw this guy, I didn't know that there were different groups of the Hebrew Israelite brothers and sisters. But I was watching it, and it was the same group each time, but I didn't know that. That same group, there was a sister, and she was standing there trying to defend homosexuality. And the brother threw a curve on it. He said, but sister, you are feeling that way and defending because you've been abused. But just because you've been abused, you don't have to go to that life. And she started tearing up. Sister, I love you. And you need to come out of this because God don't want that for you. And he started going. And I was sitting at home watching the video. Literally, I could see the healing happening. And I was like, man, I never thought to do it like that. These brothers just said, forget about all of we gonna go right where the community is. Look people right in the face and say, sister, you don't have to go that way. And I saw the sister just coming out of it and realizing she could do something different. And I saw the healing. I said, these brothers are serious. So sometime later, I realized that those years I've been watching, for somebody who got enough courage, that are not suckers and chumps that do a lot of talking, but won't do nothing. I started watching the walk and I started realizing, those are those same brothers. And so this brother here, brother Captain Tazaryach, said he was doing a lecture called No Homo, and he couldn't get nowhere to do it. So when he told me that, I was like, yeah, you coming into a new lane, brother. I know how it feels. And so we talked, and me and my family, I brought my wife, my children, straight black pride. We came up here from DC, and we saw what they were doing, and we was like, look, we got a lot of differences between our philosophies and theirs, but when it relates to homosexuality, when it relates to stopping sexual abuse, we are 100% aligned in the fact that we've got to stop it. And what they're doing is righteous, and we believe we standing on a righteous platform. There's no excuse for us not finding a way to work together. So we reached out very humbly to the brother, said, we love what you did, brother. We want to do something together because we got two serious groups who are not afraid to take action. Can we do it? He went to his top commanders and things like that, got right back, which meant they didn't have to think about it long. They want to do something about this, and that's how this happened. So that's my little spiel. I'm going to let my brother Tazaryach come back in here. He thought he talked on it.
I noticed he said little spiel. That was long as hell. But there's one thing he said, which I want to sweat a lot of things he said. But when you think about one of the main things was, if we was talking about nonsense, you know what I mean, everybody would be a part of that. But what we're talking about actually cuts to the core of black people. And what I mean by that is, what they call the conscious community, or Israelite community, molestation is taking place in there. And when you talk about that, the reason why people don't want to support it is because either they're molested victims themselves, they're the predators, or they know the predator and don't have the strength enough to do what is necessary to be able to battle that. Which we have to fight all different types of atrocities that are committed against black people. The most endangered species on the face of the planet is black people. We're allowed to be beaten, raped, murdered. They just had a brother with his hands in the air. He said, this is an autistic patient. He said, there's not a gun, it's a fire truck. And even though he told him it's not a gun, it's a fire truck, the white man still shot him. And when the brother said, why did you shoot me? Does anybody know what the white man said? He said, I don't know. Because the white man, which is the devil that the Bible speaks of, doesn't know what to do but kill us. And the problem is, we fall in love with that white man, just like a rape victim falls in love with him. When someone gets molested, sometimes they don't understand or they're confused, so they don't know if this is love or this is hate. And so they develop that affinity of love towards something that they should not love. That's black people in America. That's why your leaders are raping just like the devil that we were raped by, because they don't understand that. So if there's nobody on the forefront to battle that, then who else will? The same way he's talking about he couldn't find nobody in the conscious side or the so-called conscious side to help him, is the same way for us. We got the same, and that's what mind boggles me too. Because I'm finding out there's trannies over here, there's men sending pictures of male penises over here, there's brothers molesting somebody over here, and then now I'm starting to find out why, when we first wanted to do the no homo lecture, why we got so much backlash. And it's like, people say, yeah, I'm down for the cause, and it's like, well, let's deal with homosexuality. And it's like, okay, I'm gonna show up or I'm gonna support, but then you don't get that support. I had a bookstore tell me, I can't speak against homosexuality because they buy their books. But if we was talking about drug dealing or murder, people can understand that perspective. And the fact that Irritated Genie seen the brothers in D.C. is just a trickle effect of what ISUBK has been doing since 1969. This is not new for us. Commander Jenny Hanna was taught by the seven heads, and we've carried that torch of really caring about black people. And sometimes caring about black people means you're going to have to hurt their feelings. Christ said in John 8:32 that ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. He didn't say it's going to make you feel good and warm and fuzzy, going to make you get some ice cream. A lot of that's going to hurt, because we all have to face ourselves in this battle that we're fighting. So when it came down to actually finding people that would actually support this was damn near the only brother that I could find. When I went to an event he had and he found out what I was doing, he came to the lecture that we had no homo. I wanted to let him in free. He wouldn't let me let him in free. I wanted to give him the table for free, wouldn't let him do that. He insisted on paying. He insisted on being a brother, which is what we're going to have to do. Like, we all come from different, I wasn't always an Israelite. I only been doing this for about 7-8 years. But before that, I was something else. Now, before I could sit down with them, they had to receive me as a brother. And Israelite School UBK, that's how we see every black, Hispanic, and Native Indian as our brothers. And in order for us to be able to communicate, we're going to have to at least sit down. So I know when I talk to brothers on the street, they don't come from my walk of life. But I can't just reject them for that, or necessarily disrespect them. If anybody knows, I did a debate with Polite back in 2013. And when we was doing that debate, it was a whole bunch of people in there, because they wanted to talk about, is the God of the Bible a black woman? That's what they wanted to talk about. And I said then, what is not coming to fruition until today. What I said in that debate was, y'all see all these people here, and you see the condition of black people. Shouldn't we be in here addressing that issue instead of worrying, is the God of the Bible a woman? Like, don't we got more pressing issues than that? And so it took 3 years, basically, in my little short time in the so-called, and I say so-called on purpose because they don't necessarily cut to the core of what's happening in the black community. But to hustle you, they will hustle you. So in this lecture today, when Irritated Genie does his part and I do my part, when we call people Christian, because a lot of people don't understand, they say, I ain't Christian, I don't believe in the Bible. When we call people Christian, or the Christian church, because for us, that terminology ain't got nothing to do with the Bible at all. It got to do with God loves everybody, specifically talking about the white man. Like John 8:44, which says, ye are of your father the devil. Everything that we're doing in this community, in this America, we learn from that so-called white man. From the murder that we committed, the drugs that we're selling, the raping that we're doing, we learned that from the white man. So when we calling you Christian, it's because you're doing the very same thing the so-called white man is doing. And so what we're going to learn today is you cannot be emotional with the information that comes out. Because the information that's going to come out, it may make you feel messed up. But you're going to have to face it nonetheless, because we cannot confuse liking somebody with trusting that person. No matter how you may like me or may think somebody talks nice or Irritated Genie talks nice, if his core beliefs is damaging the black community, then we got to say we can't have him. We got to remove him out the way. No matter how long he's been in there. If he's been in that position for 40 years, but then you find out during them 40 years he's been the wickedest bastard on the face of the planet, we're going to keep him for 41? We're going to keep letting him do whatever it is that he's doing? So today, we're going to go through some history. We're going to go through some current events. We got my man Poppy in the building. Give that brother a hand clap. That's my man. I've dealt with him on a number of occasions. And I love speaking about Poppy specifically because Poppy is the proof that because you've been a victim of any crime, you do not have to become that crime, and you don't have to live that crime. Now, ain't your daughters here? He got 2 daughters. I talk about his daughters all the time. Where's his daughters at? So he got 2 beautiful daughters back here. That's the proof that you do not have to be lived with victim life and to overcome life. And that's what the UPK stands for, is bringing brothers, or showing brothers that you have a place. Now imagine if he would have spoke and nobody supported him. Nobody would speak. So that's what we're going to go into. So I don't want to be too long-winded myself. I ain't going to be like Irritated Genie. I ain't going to be that long. No, I'm just messing. But we wanted to give an introduction as to why we decided to do this, why we thought it was important, and what we need to do going forward, because what we're learning is that homosexuality, transgender, child molestation is not just something that's being pushed by the so-called white man. It's something that's being pushed in every ghetto USA. Because everybody knows some relative growing up that touched somebody, that did something to somebody. And molestation ain't always penetration. Black women getting their behind squeezed on, breast squeezed on, that's molestation. If you're not inviting that, then that's molestation. Young men are getting touched on, felt on, treated like pieces of meat. And if you are not inviting it, all of that is molestation. So we're going to deal with that today. I believe Irritated Genie is going to take the floor first. We're going to take a break so that y'all can attend to the vendors that are standing around. And then after that, I'll go, and then we're going to let Poppy speak for a bit, and then we're going to do a Q&A. All right? So I'll give the floor to Irritated Genie.
Thank you. So the way we're going to do this today, because the brother is going to really, we figured we separated into two parts. Because what we're dealing with, the truth of it is, just the honest truth, this does not come from black people. So it's one thing to say that and to shake our heads and kind of know it. It's another thing to document it so that everybody can walk out of this room and say, okay, we understand where this behavior comes from. We understand how we got in this condition. We understand who the source and the origin of this problem is. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through and kind of give us a timeline of how the sexual abuse in the black community came and from where it came from. Then my brother Tazaryach's going to come in, no more Mr. Nice Guy. Captain Tazaryach going to come in and say, here are the black folks today that are helping to perpetuate it. Here are our problems. This is what we got to do to fix it. So everybody okay with that? All right, so now, go ahead and brace a little bit, because in order to understand where this comes from, we got to go and travel into the European mind. I know we don't like the white devil mind, but if we're going to fix our problem, we got to take a little bit of a look at what we're dealing with when we say white folks and their cultures to understand how this happened to our people. So the first thing I'm going to show right here is just because I want people to get an understanding of how big a problem this is. In Jamaica, which is a microcosm of what's going on here in America, it's epidemic, the issues of child molestation. All the young girls are getting molested. In fact, they got something called a family ram, which is a guy who rapes his own daughter or his cousin or whatever, and it's like part of the culture. Oh, he's a family ram. And it's just accepted, and it's out of control, and they're pushing the Batiman stuff in Jamaica as well right now. So this is a video, I can tell you that, but I'd rather show you so you get a quick idea to see what's going on.
I just stopped fighting. Not because I didn't want this. This was my first sexual experience, so this time I remember it clearly. I remember this person just treating me as if I was garbage, like I was an animal. And he had his time. He had the time of his life.
I was just 5, 6 years old when it happened, but I remember everything. I remember the smell of it. I remember one time I was sleeping, and I can remember something being forced up inside of me. And I just know somebody can do that to a child. What's wrong with them? Why they want to hurt a child? Why?
You gotta be careful, because you don't want to start a conflict between you and them. And you are trying to be, so you end up in a war. Somebody probably die, run away, dead.
We still do it the old-fashioned way, where the child goes into the witness box and the prisoner is in the dock in the same courtroom, and the child has to give that testimony.
And it's not just the responsibility of government.
Break the silence. Break the silence. Break the silence.
It's a good PR move. How do I break the silence? What are the resources that are there after I've broken the silence? What happens to a predator after I've broken the silence? How am I protected from retribution?
I played that just to get an idea for us to see these are real black people that are facing this. The United States of America, Department of Justice estimates are that 1 in 3 girls in America will be sexually abused before the age of 18. From my analysis over the last 20 years, I would say that it's more like 3 out of 4. 75% of our sisters will be touched, raped, molested in some type of way before the age of 18. Also, United States Department of Justice estimates say that 1 out of 6 or 1 out of 4 boys, 25%, will be sexually abused before the age of 18. And my estimation, doing this for 20 years again, it's more like 1 in every 2. And it's getting worse because the music we listen to and the culture is promoting this kind of madness, and no one is stepping up and fighting against it. Well, not enough people, they're not fighting hard enough. What are we talking about when we say child molestation? It's a practice that evolved out of Europe of adults engaging in sexual activity with children. We also call it child rape. They have a term they call boy love, a term they call girl love, pedophilia, pederasty, or homophilia. And as we talk more, we'll understand the actual concepts of homosexuality and pedophilia are not separate. That is something that they've done in modern times for the purposes of confusing people and walking us into acceptance. So first they show pornography with 2 females, people get into that, then they show 2 males, then they get us comfortable with people molesting children. So, but from its origin, homosexuality and pedophilia were the same thing. Now again, I can say that, but I can show you better than I can tell you. This is Plato. How many people here went to school and heard the name Plato? All right, so we've all heard that. The Greek philosopher. They had a concept called pederasty, which is a grown male raping a little boy. And they said that it was in something he called a symposium. It's the great philosophy of Europe of what the whites thought before they ran into black people. They said that pederasty alone, which is a grown male raping a little boy, that alone is capable of satisfying a man's highest and noblest aspirations. And the love between man and woman, when spoken of at all, is altogether inferior. It is a purely physical impulse whose sole object is the procreation of life. Let me say that again. He said that a grown male with a little boy, without nothing else in the world, that reaches the highest spiritual plane of a European. If you want to see that reflected in today's world, all you got to do is look at the church. What is the highest ranking European church? The Catholic Church. What is the highest ranking order in it? The Pope or the priest. What is it that the priest cannot be with? A woman. What are they known to do? Molest boys. Their highest and noblest aspirations is to be with a boy. But then they say, and the love between a man and woman, which for black people, traditionally, the black woman's problem was not, does a brother love her? It's trying to keep a brother from loving too many black women. That's who we come from. But the European mentality said the love between man and woman, when compared with a grown male with a little boy, it doesn't even compare. The only reason that a woman exists is because you gotta have one to produce a child. This comes out of the minds of Europeans. Again, I'm reading from their symposium. It's one thing for me to tell you, but if y'all don't mind, I know we don't have no white folks in the room. I'm gonna invite a couple of white folks in the room, but they virtual crackers. You don't have to worry, they're not real crackers. But if you don't mind, Brother Tazaryach, can I invite the whitey in the room for just a moment? He gonna be a virtual. Tazaryach said no. He gonna come in and tell us his real personality sexually, so we can hear from them instead of you having to believe me say it.
Classical Greece was a society of individualists, where free thinking was ardently encouraged, whether it be in philosophy, religion, or sex.
We tend to think of the Greeks as somehow a sexually liberated people. They were not hung up about the same kinds of things that we're hung up about. Their acceptance of sex is a natural part of life. is something that makes them, at the same time, a very attractive culture, and at the same time, a very foreign culture.
The lascivious behavior of the elite Greek male was mirrored in the antics of his gods. The all-powerful Zeus was a philandering husband whose sexual appetites ran the gamut from goddesses to mortal women to young boys. Romantic love between men and women was not the norm in classical Greece. Marriages were largely economic arrangements to ensure bloodlines and inheritances. Plato himself sang the praises of love between men in the Symposium.
The Greeks did castigate sexual preference, just as we don't castigate people who prefer soccer to football or basketball to hockey or something like that. No, it wasn't a ground of moral judgment. It just wasn't a category.
Male homosexual relationships often involved an older man with a younger boy, a practice known as pederasty.
Certain subcultures in Greece, particularly the elite subcultures, romanticized the relation between an adult male and a pubescent boy. It was a rite of passage in a sense. There were certain rules of self-restraint which were imposed upon the older male partner in cases like this, and it became a kind of romanticized relationship, a kind of a courtship.
The defeat of the sacred band of Thebes marked the end of the classical period in ancient Greece and the beginning of the Hellenistic. This dynamic era ushered in many changes in Greek culture, especially in the arena of sexuality. The female nude gradually replaced the male nude as the Greeks' ideal form of beauty. Erotic bonds between men and women strengthened, taking the place of male-male relationships. It seems the wise and learned Greeks had finally discovered the humanity of woman.
Could everybody hear that? All right. This is the point I want to make that's really important about that. Before Europeans, before whites met black people, I want to say this, that you can go look this for yourself. Before the Greeks, which were the first group of whites to really come in and have the kind of relationship with black people where they actually saw us when they invaded and saw black people face to face in the culture. In the whole history of Europe, the idea that a man could be in love with a woman did not exist. I'm going to say that again. Whites did not know that there was a such thing as a man. Like my sister and brother sitting right here, she got her hand right on his knee. That's a sense of love. This concept did not exist, and they had no statue to represent it. Every statue of what they call the classical period, before they ran into black people, every statue was males with little boys. Which is why when you go downtown and you see the Greek statues or the Roman statues in front of the libraries, there's a bunch of guys draped all over each other with clothes. This is their culture. You wonder where the women at? They don't want no women. This is their culture, has been and still is. They've hidden it for some time only because nobody else on the planet was accepting of it. But now they have so much power and they've done so much damage, particularly to the people who really hold the moral standards of the world. Wherever you go on the planet, the most moral people in that area are black people. But they're doing so much damage to us now that now they can take off their mask and show who they really are. So like, is there anybody here who does not agree that homosexuality and pedophilia, one, you saw they were the same thing. It was grown males with little boys, not little girls. That's where it started. And then they spread it out. But the idea is this is their culture. Anybody disagree with that? All right, so now we got to ask the question. Because if that's not our culture as black people, the question is, well then why are our people involved in it? Why is it happening in every community, in every household, in every block, in every apartment building, in every rural community, not just in America, not just the islands, not just in Europe, wherever you find black people, if it's not our culture, why are we doing this today? And so now we're going to go and travel back a little bit because we got to see why is, when the brother says the whites are devil, why do you use that term? Why do we say they're evil and we want to separate from them? Well, let's take a look at what they did to black people. And this just is a short clip again to just show, I can tell you a bunch, to just show the kinds of things they did to us when they had us in a situation where we could not defend ourselves. And now we're under their rulership. What did they do during our enslavement?
Following the abolishment of the African slave trade in 1807, breeding plantations were created. Farmers who had previously experienced raising cattle quickly changed to raise slave babies. The main purpose of these plantations was to produce new slaves.
Countries that traded in human bondage for decades found it necessary to obtain more Africans to enslave. Cattle farmers who were experienced at breeding cattle found it easy to make the transition into the breeding of human beings. Slave breeders were highly selective and went to auctions to seek the biggest and healthiest slaves they could find. There were many poor quality slaves on the market in those days. Most were either too sick, old, or badly damaged during the capture and voyage. They studied different African tribes to determine which ones would make the best breeders. Mandingo men were highly sought after because they were big, strong, and had large genitalia. Senegalese women were considered most attractive because their chiseled features resembled European women. Formulas were developed to produce the highest quality slave in order to achieve the highest dollar amount. During their working life, a female slave spent most of her time pregnant, and most owners put a high value on good breeders. Once a pregnancy was achieved, records were maintained that included how long it took to achieve a pregnancy, the weight and size of the baby produced, and most importantly, its health and physical characteristics. The male breeding stud would be put with another woman, and the process continued. When a male slave turned 15, he had his first inspection. Boys who were underdeveloped with small testicles or small penises were castrated and sent to the market. Others were used on the farm in other capacities. Female slaves were inspected at age 13 or whenever they received their first menstrual cycles. Those with large breasts and wide hips were considered better suited for breeding. A male slave was expected to impregnate at least 12 females a year. Those capable of impregnating more were given extra. Female slaves were used to produce 10 offspring, but those who produced exceptional ones with little or no complications were used for up to 15. The male studs were used in the breeding process for a period of 5 years, but those showing excellent performance were used for 10 years or more. Within a 3-year period, owners had a good idea of who were the best people for breeding. As soon as a male produced an inferior offspring, he was immediately castrated to stop further breeding and sometimes used as eunuchs to guard prize heifers from being impregnated by non-pedigreed bucks. Others were retained for general work or sold. Females who were no longer suitable for breeding were used to nurse and care for other children, assigned to other plantation duties, or sold to brothels. Only the strongest and healthiest babies were kept for further breeding. Those born with deformities of even the slightest detail, in many cases were used for alligator bait or just killed outright. As breeding was very carefully monitored to ensure that only the finest specimens were produced. The breeding males were castrated to prevent them from ever breeding again. After 20 years of breeding exceptionally high quality slaves, the third generation of newly bred slaves were used as breeders and their predecessors were retired. Males were consistently inspected to make sure they were producing the highest quality offspring. Each month, males were called in for inspection, their genital areas shaved, and their testicles inspected for any signs of lumps or defects. Other slaves were ordered to make the male breeders ejaculate to check if their semen was still large in volume and consistent. Over time, the slaves got used to their inspections. Any male showing signs of thin semen would be given 1 month to recover. If found unsatisfactory, he would then be castrated.
Today's sisters victimized by child abuse and exposed to domestic violence often mirror their slave sisters' pain and humiliation. While this abominable practice may seem hard to believe, today there is a vestige of slavery that continues to affect our communities, that in many ways resemble the same type of harshness our slave sisters had to endure.
Now, and I can feel the weight of this in the room. I want us to just imagine for a moment, because you go through hundreds of years of this, and we still come out and we make it. I'm going to say it again. Hundreds of years of this, and we still strong enough to even come in a room and say, let's fight this. But this is the thing we never really considered. This is a cycle that they started, starting men to rape women. This was your job to do it. And eventually they would bring your daughter back to you. You weren't keeping track of that, and you would have to rape your daughter. Or if your mother was a certain age and she was still bearing your mother, or your sisters. We didn't have a say or any ability to make any decision in it under these conditions. When 1865 came and some of us were let off of these plantations, understand the mentality of some of the black males and females that leave these conditions and are now hungry and just going into homes wherever they can find something to eat. So now you bring your aunt in the house, all she's ever done was sexually service males, and so you got your nephews over there that she's supposed to be an auntie for, and when you leave the house, she do what she know how to do. Or you got an uncle, you let him in the house to stay in the room next door, you got 8 children, you out doing stuff, and 10, 20 years later, you find out he molested all of them. And you're like, why you didn't tell me? Because he told me he would kill you. Or because he said that this is how it's supposed to be and I'd have done something wrong and I didn't want to get in trouble. So you're talking about hundreds of years of not being able to say no and being conditioned. And then another 100 years, pretty much, of it happening and nobody knowing what to do about it. I want you to know why this is such an important time that we're in right now. For the first time for our people in the sojourn in this land, this is the first group of black people that I'm aware of. The first time that different nations of black people have said, put the differences aside. This issue that was created has never been addressed. We're going to address it and we're going to fix it. I'm going to say that again. Nobody else, and I'm not knocking anybody because our people have done great things, but I'm saying the kind of courage that this takes to say, we're going to look at what happened, deal with the fact that this is real, and we're going to do something so that the next 5 generations of our sons and daughters will not go through what our people are going through now. But now I'm going to get into some real stuff because I got to show you. I want everybody in here to understand this. Hang on, because this is real. These white folks haven't changed, and just like they forced us in slavery to accept their madness, now they're doing it, but it's psychological. It's through the culture, it's through the school system. I want everyone to hear this. If nothing else I tell you is probably the most important thing I can tell you relevant to today's environment. The homosexual movement is only a smokescreen. Let me say it again. The real movement is a pedophile movement to molest children. It works this way. The real individuals with the money and power are pedophiles. They molest children. The results of that molestation often lead to homosexuality. What they figured out is, if they take the victims of their abuse, who get into a behavior that if you trace it back and say, how did you get this way? you will trace it back to somebody molesting you, and then we can track it to the problem. If you give the victim, who is now involved in homosexuality due to their sexual confusion, a movement and a platform to push the movement as something normal, then you can continue to molest as many children as you want, and when they turn to homosexuality, they will block anybody from getting to you because they say, I was born this way. So the pedophiles are behind the homosexual movement. Now, I can tell you that, and you can say, oh, well, I heard him say that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to disgust you today. So if you're eating, hang on, because you might pull some of this stuff up, because I'm going to introduce you to the real white folks really behind the homosexual movement. These are the pedophiles. This is one group of many, but they're an open group. They're called NAMBLA, the North American Man-Boy Love Association. This is not some run-of-the-mill weirdo Europeans. These are the ones who sponsor the gay rights movement. And now you see they got even more these days up-to-date type of magazines that go out on a monthly basis. And now I'm going to show you
the North,
who they are, and you can hear for yourself so you can understand when we see the homosexuality, who's really driving it.
NAMBLA, the North American Man-Boy Love Association, believes society is sexophobic and just needs to change its attitude towards pedophiles. NAMBLA claims to have more than 1,000 members. They communicate through a magazine, national conferences, and secret chapter meetings. We spoke with NAMBLA because, unlike most child molesters, they were willing to openly discuss their behavior. Experts say the way they think and act is representative of most pedophiles. 2 members agreed to meet with us.
What NAMBLA says is not merely okay, but positive, is an intimate, nurturing, caring relationship between the generations.
They don't consider their actions sexual abuse. They don't think they use superior physical or psychological power.
This would be one kind of setting where you would experience a chance to maybe meet other people that would be interesting to you and you interesting to them.
Leland Stevenson proudly admits to being a pedophile. He brought us to the skating rink because it's the kind of place he goes to looking for young boys.
Would you tell them what you would be engaging in? Would you tell them that you were interested in some kind of sexual contact?
It depends. At a certain point, I would comment to them in some way. That you see, doesn't need to be spoken.
Although he prefers adolescents, he believes children as young as 6 would know his intentions.
So you assume that they have the knowledge already that an older person may be interested in a sexual relationship?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Leland, did you ever consider or think about treatment to change your arousal?
If you felt, now, Rhonda, that you had been given a tremendous blessing from heaven above, something that livened your entire life, that colored it, that made it beautiful and wonderful, that made you want to be alive, that gave you a feeling that the universe is profoundly good, would you, in your wildest imagination, suppose that you would go to a therapist to cure you of feeling good, of feeling love?
Now, I'm going to speed up so we can get through this one, but this is very important because what we're getting here now, see, this is the real discussion. We're talking about senators, we're talking about Congress, we're talking about power people who intentionally fund a gay movement to hide their real intentions of what they're doing all around the world. But now I'm going to get deeper now because I'm going to, again, I'm not going to tell you nothing, I'm not going to show you, and then when I hand it over to Brother Tazaryach, he's going to tie in the black folks that are now openly like Bambaataa, who are involved in this stuff, thinking just like him, and terrorizing our community, and know what they're involved in. So let me show you. All right, this is in the 1970s. You see, it's to fight lesbian and gay oppression. So this is a gay rights march. What do you see right there? North American Man-Boy Love Association. I'm going to go even deeper. In 1972, they came together. You can go research this yourself. It was called the Gay Rights Platform of 1972. Now hear me. This is the homosexual platform in 1972 where they said everything they're going to do. I'm not going through everything. I'm just going to point the ones out that specifically make it clear they're targeting children.
federal encouragement and support for sex education courses prepared and taught by gay men and women presenting homosexuality as a valid, healthy preference and lifestyle and a viable alternative to heterosexuality. Who are sex education courses targeted towards? I'm going to ask that question again. Who are sex education courses targeted towards? So they're targeting children. Let's go down here. Enactment of legislation so that child custody, adoption, visitation rights, foster parenting, and the like shall not be denied because of sexual orientation or marital status. Who is child custody aimed at? Number 7 on the state level, repeal of all laws governing the age of sexual consent. Making it legal to have sex with a child that just came out of the womb. Who is that law targeted at? Babies. So this is the gay rights platform. So why are you targeting children? Because the individuals that created the gay rights platform are actually pedophiles. The whole movement. But I'm going to go deeper. Are y'all all right? They started this in 1972. Of course, we see all of this stuff that we see now happening. Every one of them up here except for the repeal of all laws, and they're trying to make it legal to have sex with children now. But in 1993, they came right out and told us. How many people in the room know that they had a 1993 Gay Rights March on Washington? Right. Just a few. You want to take a look at the Gay Rights March on Washington in 1993 and let the homosexuals tell us what their objective was?
Thus began the 1993 March on Washington for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender equal rights.
We're young, we're queer, we're gonna rule the world. We're young, we're queer, we're gonna rule the world. The church, the state, hormones will decide my fate. The church, the state, hormones will decide my fate.
Hundreds of thousands of gays, lesbians, bisexuals, sadomasochists, and transgenders were attracted by the promise of a wild 3-day sexually indulgent celebration. The purpose of the 1993 March on Washington, which was funded in part by the Presidential Inauguration Committee, was to publicize the wide-ranging platform homosexuals were demanding that Congress enact. There were 7 broad demands, encompassing 55 sub-demands for gays, lesbians, bisexuals, and transgenders. Demand number 1 repeals all sodomy laws and legalizes any and all forms of sexual expression. Age of consent laws would be changed to allow sex with youth.
It's wrong that we have laws in America that criminalize sexual behavior, things like the age of consent law and sodomy repeal, and we're going to see that those laws will fall.
Demand number 3 legalizes marriages between members of the same sex. Legal adoption, custody, and foster care would also be allowed within these new homosexual family structures. Demand number 4 requires full inclusion of lesbians, gays, bisexuals, and transgenders in education, childcare, and school counseling programs. Gay activists have wasted no time in pushing their agenda into schools across America. Under the guise of AIDS education and multiculturalism, homosexuals are promoting their lifestyle to children beginning in preschool and kindergarten. Books such as Heather Has Two Mommies and Daddy's Roommate are currently being used in many private and public schools and libraries without the knowledge of parents. In addition, the playbook for kids about sex is being made available to elementary school children and gives specific instructions on various methods of masturbation. Michael Swift writes in Gay Community News, "We shall sodomize your sons, emblems of your feeble masculinity. We shall seduce them in your schools, in your dormitories, in your gymnasiums, in your locker rooms, in your sports arenas, in your seminaries, in your youth groups." Demand number 7 requires organizations such as the Boy Scouts of America to accept homosexual scoutmasters.
All these groups, the sadomasochists, the pedophiles, the transsexuals, all were back marching in the gay rights parade. The gay agenda is to have sex in any way you please.
We will not be able to
live within this country as full human beings until we have the right to love whom we love, when we love, and where we love.
Now I'm feeling, I don't want to I want to slow, if I'm making people scared and nervous, I don't want to run you off before my brother Tazaryach gets a chance to come up here and speak. I just wanted to give you the truth of what we're dealing with, because I figured I was in a room full of soldiers, you're here anyway. I figured you were the ones that were going to fight. We're going to fight it, we at least need to know who we're dealing with. Because I know it looks scary, but this is the part that people don't understand. The reason that they're effective is because nobody knows what they're doing. We got a video showing right now, there are thousands of people around the world that are going to watch this and see this and say, whoa, I didn't know this what I was part of. And people simply start saying no, and we can start resisting. But I want to keep going and showing and just wrap this up because I wanted to lay down a foundation to understand. What we see going on in our community is not happening in isolation. These Europeans are putting it into motion. And in every day, whether it's the television shows that we're watching, whatever we're doing, all day long, every day, we're bombarded with this. And the sexual abuse that they put in our communities. And when somebody molests a child, they do no time. They get accused of it, they go to court, and the pedophile judge lets them go right back in the community and keep molesting. But if you do something to a pedophile and get caught, they throw you under the bus, put you in jail for the rest of your life. So it's a whole system that they have created, the whites, to perpetuate this in our community, which makes it a double crime for a black person not to speak out against it. Because if you don't speak out against it and create safe space where it's not allowed, we are allowing the Europeans to tell our children to do this, to tell the homosexuals and the other sick degenerates in our community who pushing this on our people that they got rights, but then we're not standing up saying we have rights too. We have a right to protect our daughters from this abuse. We have a right to protect our mothers from this abuse. We have a right to protect our sons and our own culture and our people from this abuse. And if we're not doing that, then we're not doing our jobs. I'm showing this here now to show because of what we've done, because of what they're doing, and because of our lack of active engagement, ISUPK, Straight Black Pride, saying this has got to stop. There's not enough of that going on. So what are the Europeans doing now? Now, they're not even playing with it. They write boldly in front of everybody, in front of everybody's face. They coming and saying, we're taking your black children and we're going to have a ball with them. They not pretending no more. They not hiding it at all. Here you see the picture, they just buying little black children. In our community, this was going on. This is in Chicago, when now the gangs, I'm not even going to describe it, you can see it, but there's certain rites of passages the boys got to do to get in gangs, and the girls are right there filming it while it's happening. Here in Atlanta, the Pride School of Atlanta, where they got a bunch of freaks starting a school for elementary school students to teach them that they gay. They're supposed to be studying math and science and just how to be a little boy and how to play with trucks or whatever. And little girl, what she do with the girls, do jump rope or whatever. No, they being told you a transgender or you don't have to have a sexuality or gender.
A few weeks ago, it was just me and my wife. And now I'm a dad. Vincent's birth mother, she picked us. And I'm going to do everything right by her. Family means everything. Show them what's underneath. Show them your jockeys.
I'm going to play that again, because I know y'all say what? Listen, this ain't no commercial. It's an actual, they have a whole, what do they call it? Campaign. It's called Show 'em Your Jockey. I'm going to play it again. This is just one of the commercials in an entire campaign. All it is, and we look like we're surprised because we ain't been doing our jobs. See, black manhood is so weak now, so non-existent, that they can just boldly go and have, now this is jockey, this ain't no offshoot product. This is jockey, with a campaign saying we coming after black children to have a ball. Let's hear it again.
A few weeks ago, it was just me and my wife. And now I'm a dad. Vincent's birth mother, she picked us. And I'm going to do everything right by her. Family means everything. Show them what's underneath. Show them your jockey.
If you're trying to figure it out, you made a mistake. It ain't nothing to figure out.
They say, y'all a bunch of suckers, y'all gonna take this, we gonna come get your children, what you gonna do? Right. This is what we face with right now, brothers and sisters. I'm showing this because this is around, and it's hard to watch, but I want us to stop pretending like reality ain't reality. Around the country, in the junior high schools and the high schools, they have Transgender Day. They call it Swap Day, or they call it a different name around the country. Basically, the boys try to be as feminine as girls as they can be, and the girls pretend to be as masculine as they can be. And I'm just going to show you just a quick clip so you can see what's happening. These are our sons and daughters going into a school, and this is how they're behaving now.
Hey, give me a snap. Hey, give me a snap. Hey. Hey, my shit fat. Clark, don't lie. What you doing? He got that. Make a video. Hey, everybody twerk.
These are boys.
Wait, hold on.
These are our black male sons.
Yes. You know, we cut up.
Now, we used to cut up in high school. We didn't cut up like that, though. That needs to be cut down. But the question is, what's going on in our community that this is what is in our sons' minds when they on a football team, and this is how they want to behave? Who is given permission for them to wear female clothing? When I was in school, if a male wore female clothing, you would be put out of the school. Right. Now you've been invited to have a day where that's what you're supposed to do. And what is the black community doing? Where's the, oh well, people have a right to whatever. What are we opening our future generations up to? It's right in front of our face. I'm going to wrap it up here, just talk about some of the things we got to do, and then I'm going to turn it over to Brother Tazaryach, because it's fine talking about what the white folks are doing to make this problem. Now we got to come in here, my brother, talk about the black people in our community that are facilitating it. And one thing we got to stop doing is stop facilitating and supporting pedophiles. It's inexcusable. This male right here urinated on a 14-year-old girl, and the tape went out around the world. He's still doing concerts. Black men have done nothing about it, and black women pay for the tickets to go watch it. That's right. What's the message that the black male, us, give to the world? That we got a millionaire that can safely go in our community and do concerts after urinating on our daughters. And what's the message that the black woman gives? Going and buying the tickets, sitting there and clapping to somebody who urinated on your daughter. What is your message to her? Every time you step and play that filth, what are you saying is okay? The black woman is the mother of the universe, the first woman to give life, and now is the facilitator of madness. The black man is the builder of civilization. We don't build nothing but homosexuals now. And arguments over ridiculous stuff, and when real problems come, we run like we got skirts on, begging our women to go out there and fight for us. We gotta be men again. That's again why I liked when I saw ISUPK. I'm gonna be honest. Philosophy, all that was fine. I wasn't listening to a lot of what they were saying. What I saw is men who wasn't scared. And what I know, with Straight Black Pride, can my brothers and sisters, Straight Black Pride, please stand up. Everybody that's Straight Black Pride, please stand up. These men and women are not afraid. Thank you. So what I'm saying, if we got two nations that ain't scared, and we got freaks that's walking over our race, why can't them two nations say whatever we don't agree on, let's hold that till later. Let's get on the battlefield, save our people. Let's see who fight the best, and then we'll break bread. I know y'all got some of that nice vegan food and stuff. We'll sit down. You know, we'll sit down, have a caramel. We'll talk it over after the battle is over. But this is a real battle for the children that nobody wants to take. And it starts by not making it comfortable for people to molest children. The #1 predictor of how well children will do in life is they have a mother and a father,
in the family. So that means what? We got to start picking good mates. Brothers, don't look at her body, look at the way her mind is shaped. I'm not saying her body isn't beautiful. I'm still a black man. I still see it. I mean, I used to see, I'm married now, so I haven't seen her in a long time. But I'm saying when I used to have seen her, they do have beautiful bodies. But listen, a beautiful body and a horrible mind makes you a miserable man. Pick a woman that's going to defend your position in that home and work with you to build something. Sister, the same thing. I don't care how big he is, how big is his heart for his people? How big is his courage? How big is his manhood to defend his family? That's what we got to start doing. Because when we pick bad mates, we end up having to leave our children with a mate that's not going to defend them. Take your children out in front of that TV. It's a pedophile now. Stop sexualizing our children and dressing our women like whores and our daughters. Got on skirts shorter than underwear these days. You're not going to see no straight black pride brothers or sisters walking around half naked. If you do, let us know. That's not what we represent here. Stop allowing our children to act like adults. We do that and then adult things happen. Stop introducing our sons and daughters to drugs and pornography. I'm not anybody's judging here, but I got to say this. Everybody that I've met whose parents had pornography found that pornography and got into their sexuality because of pornography they found in their family's home. So if you gotta have pornography, don't have it in your home. Your children going to find it. I'm not going to tell you where to have it, but have it somewhere they have no access, not in your home. Go do what it is your vice is, but don't introduce your children to that because ultimately you introducing them to the pedophile that's coming to get them. And we got our daughters doing this stuff around. So this is the kind of stuff going on in the black community. Everywhere. You don't need to see it long, but this stuff is real. And so I want to wrap it up. I know y'all saying, what? Irritated Genie wrapping up? That don't usually happen. But I'm wrapping up because I want to get out the way because Brother Tazaryach will come in and do the second part of this. But I just want to wrap it up and say we're very serious about this. We didn't come here today to have a lecture to say we're smart people. We came here to say this is a real problem. And most of the people in this room know the problem. Whether it happened to them, a friend, a family member, or just watching it now, you go, yeah, this is a problem. We see what's happening to our culture. We can't even have the same big family reunions like we used to because somebody's a pedophile or somebody's a lesbian or somebody's a homosexual and somebody's not going to come to that. So now we isolated away from our own families because there's no law, no restriction anymore of what's acceptable. So we're not even able to have families anymore because we haven't done what it takes to fix this problem. So in wrapping up, I want to say we have a movement called Straight Black Pride Movement. All that, being straight, black, and proud. It speaks for itself. We have flyers that are on all the seats. We have an international convention in August in Washington, D.C. We hope you can make it out. And one of our campaigns that we have for the Straight Black Pride Movement is called Not On My Watch. And hopefully we can do, I'll just show you real quick what we do, but everywhere we go around the world, we've done it in London. We do it all around the country here. Before we leave, we say, look, we can't do anything about what our ancestors did because of what they were facing. But this is our time. And I heard Brother Poppy say something when I first met the brother. He said, not on my watch. He said, yeah, this happened then, but I'm here now. I'm Brother Poppy. This is going to stop. And so we got what we call the Not On My Watch campaign. It's saying it's our responsibility. We can't turn the eye to anybody else and point the finger. We're here now. Everybody in this room and everybody that's watching, wherever you are, we are black people who have the right to determine the safety net of our own culture and community, and we have the responsibility to do it now. And so it's real short, sweet. I'm sorry, I forgot this little piece. Prevention is the key. The main thing is better to prevent it than try to fix it afterwards. And these are some things here. But I just want to show people, this is the video we did for the Not On My Watch, and then we have a little thing we do every time we go around the world.
It's not gangster, it's militant, ill intent.
Not on my watch. Not on my watch. Not on my watch. Thank you, thank you.
So I'm wrapping up here, brothers and sisters. We wrapped up, but I do want to extend this offer to the ISUPK brothers and sisters. We go around the world with this message. In the same way we do it here, we don't cut no corners. We're not afraid to tell the truth. We go around the world. As long as we on this same page with this, when we go to places that we can facilitate y'all coming out and sharing this message and giving it from your input, we want to invite you wherever we are to be able to do that. So if y'all got brothers and sisters anywhere in the world, and y'all standing on this, we want to stand with you. With that, I want to say thank you, and I want to invite my brother Tazaryach up here to come knock this thing out of the water. Thank you, brothers and sisters.
Hey, give it up for Irritated Genie one more time, man. He brought some stuff out. Like, we study this stuff, but I think what we find out is when everybody studies, you always find something that you miss or something like that, because he brought up that jockey joint. Good night. It's that important to what I'm speaking about, because the leadership that we're going to bring out today, because the white man never comes in your neighborhood to sell you his pipe dream. You know who he sends? Us. When he wanted to put crack and dope and heroin in your neighborhood, he didn't come in there. He sent your Nicky Barnes, your Frank Lucas, and all the other gangsters. And what do? We applaud them because of the fly cars they got, or something like that, or because they got jewelry, because we're so impressionable. So now we're dealing with this particular subject of homosexuality. So what do? They put prominent people in place that you think liking them mean we should trust them. Can you give me the first slide? How does that, please? Christianity. All of this is Christianity. And again, like I said in my opening statement, Christianity ain't talking about the Bible at all. It's talking about the system of government that's in place today that tells you God loves everybody except when it comes to black people. It only matters with white people. Accept everything that Christianity says. I'm going to read a little bit of it. It says, studies reveal that childhood sex abuse is prevalent in the Baptist church. We're going to cut Christianity, Islam, Kemet, Wahhabism, Israelite culture, because we cannot be hypocrites if we're going to address black problems. So in order to address problems, we got to admit that Kemet made some mistakes. We got to admit Israelites, that people that call themselves Israelites made mistakes. Christians made mistakes. The foot have to stop on our door because contrary to popular belief, we don't need white people's assistance to fix our problems. We should be able to fix our problems ourselves. We don't need them. We don't need the police. We don't need the government. We don't need nothing. A quick proof of that is when we was about 30 or 40 years removed from slavery, as the white man was going through the Great Depression, we was fine until they brought integration in and destroyed us. So now it says, and the Baptist church as it is in the Roman Catholic Church. Yet this denomination often has no procedures for tracking clergy who are transferred out of state. What does that mean? A black man in Chicago was a pastor, got found in child molestation. You know what he did? He didn't go to jail. He just went to Maryland and preached and did the same thing. Now, where did they learn that from? The Roman Catholic Church. Because what do they do to the Roman Catholic Church when they get found for child molestation? They don't arrest them. They just move them from New York to Arizona so they can continue the business of molesting our boys. The subject matter that I'll be going through is molestation, Bambaataa, and transgender. And you could thank Obama for transgender. You could thank Obama for the way homosexuality is. And he was paraded as the black savior and pushed the same agenda that the white man pushed. That's right. Is the cord stuck again? Let's see if you can get that cord back. Yeah, thank you. Now it says, yet this denomination, numerous Baptist clergy have been arrested and convicted for criminal sexual misconduct. The absence of a central agency for the Baptist churches to report known or suspected child molesters and preachers moving from one church to church in a new congregation, regardless of history of abuse. What that's talking about is we accept leaders because they're presented as being nice. Like, you know how they put that suit and tie on, they come talk to you real smooth, and you accept that. Whereas when we be on the streets, what's our reputation on the streets? Anybody know? We loud, boisterous. We tell a black woman, you tell a black woman to shut her mouth. That's all black people need to hear, and we a hate group. Meanwhile, there's nobody that protected the black community like we have. Just yesterday alone, we gave a cookout for every black people in Harlem, New York. We do it every year. We have food drives, we have GED programs, we have drug counseling programs, and we counsel victims of child molestation and homosexuality. But because we don't dress like the typical nice person, it appears that we're evil. When meanwhile, the brother that's dressed in that suit and tie, that's saying, come here, sister, let me talk to you. Let me help you out. They're raping our women, our children, and our boys, all right? Now it says, for decades, victims of childhood sexual abuse in Baptist churches has been silenced by the shame and false instruction and by the bullying tactics of church leaders. The most common one or most popular one is Eddie Long. Anybody familiar with Eddie Long? He molested 4 boys, right? I don't know what's up with the number 4 because 4 came out with the Bambaataa, which we're going to get into too. But when he came, oh, it's 5, my bad. Straight black pride, right? Now, when it came to Eddie Long, when them 4 boys came out, instead of getting a rallying cry to remove Eddie Long, what actually happened? They protected Eddie Long. They protected Eddie Long. They protected him so much so, did one of the boys kill himself? He committed suicide. Because in his mind, like imagine, that's why I use Poppy as a tool. Imagine he was like Poppy. He going and telling the people, Eddie Long is touching me. And instead of brothers receiving him like they should, they rejected him and said it was his fault. And because they said it was his fault, he killed himself. Give me the next slide. It says sexual predators, because I have people ask this question, why do they go into the Christian church? And it ain't just the Christian church, it's really religion itself, which I'm going to show you. Take me back one time? I'm sorry. All right. Sexual predators gravitate to churches because Christians are taught to submit to authority in an atmosphere that encourages trust. Like there's a church on every corner in the ghetto, right? Now here's the problem with having a church on every corner in the ghetto. When atrocities and crimes happen, can you go to that same church that's telling you they're the pillars? No, they run from that responsibility. But yet when it comes to getting your money or your babies, they're on the front lines. But as soon as the killing happens, it's not our fault. And then they serve us up to the so-called white man to get killed even more. When they killed them 9 people in the church, the very next day they was praying for that white boy. The very next day they was praying for that white boy. You understand? Keep going. Give me the next one. It says many Christians, and this is many black people. This is a problem that don't just plague Christians. This is a problem that plagues black people. It says many Christians don't know how to distinguish likability from trustworthiness. What we do because of entertainment and because people can become popular or talk nice, because I like a person, I automatically believe everything that he says or she says, and then you develop a form of trust without vetting them. Without understanding is this a drug dealer? I can't deal with this drug dealer. Is this a thief? I can't deal with this thief. Is this a child molester? I can't deal with this child molester. But just because he made me laugh or cry or something like that, it develops a form of trustworthiness. It says they confuse the 2 categories, assuming that if someone is courteous and nice, they must also be trustworthy. That's why, whether it's Malachi York, he was nice. Whether it's Eddie Long, he was nice. Creflo Dollar, and then here's the heavy part. Creflo Dollar said all Eddie Long had was a wreck. And the reason why he uses that term wreck is because to take your mind off the molestation. That's the tactics that they use. If he say all he did was just molest a little boy, you're going to be like, that's wrong. It's wrong to molest a little. But if he say all he did was have a wreck, you immediately go to a car accident. You go to a car accident, you want the car to be repaired. The problem is the car ain't never getting repaired. You understand? And it says, moreover, some Christians behave as though the problem doesn't exist and look with suspicion on reports of abuse. They believe that the children are lying and are more prone to take adults' words. Sexual predators know what these dynamics operate in the churches, and they know that they can get away with it. That's why religion is the #1 method to molest black people, period. And that's what we have to understand if we're going to deal with the dynamic. If we're going to deal with the dynamic of where does this start, we have to deal with that dynamic. And that's what, remember, we're talking about predators. What is a predator's job? Even if you go from the animal world or our world, a predator's job is to hunt, to lay out bait, to set a trap that makes it easier for them to catch who they're looking for. That's what they're doing. So they know if I can make your spirit feel good, I can penetrate you, I can rape you, I can rob you, I can get your money, and then I can never do nothing for you but sell your pipe dream. We give all our money to the Christian church, Muslim mosque, and other cults that exist, and what benefit do we actually do for it? Creflo Dollar raised $65 billion for a private plane, that if I was Creflo Dollar, none of y'all would be able to fly on that plane with me. And meanwhile, the people that's giving the money for the plane got to catch the bus, can't keep their lights on, or none of that. That's the spell of Christianity. And that's the spell of every so-called leader of black people today, which is why they got to be moved out the seat. The scriptures say that the prophets shall not be moved into a corner no more. You looking at them today. That's why it may seem like we're on the streets, but you know why we're on the streets? Because that's where you all are. We don't want to be up in the house or up in some temple you got to come into where you think you're going to be holier than thou, catching some so-called Holy Ghost or something like that. We want to be on the streets where the battle is at. The drug dealers is out there, that's where we got to be at. The homosexuals are out there, that's where we got to be at. The thieves, the murderers, wherever they're at, that's where we want to be at. So that way when you see the enemy coming at you, you see an angel, you see a man of God saying, nah, ain't nobody got to touch you ever again, because we'll protect you. You understand? Give me the next slide. Now, I'm about to show y'all some proof of the attack by the white man. This here now, this says taxpayers fund same-sex anal penetration in the study of adolescent black males with adult black males. Why do you need, listen, this is Johns Hopkins University in Maryland, I believe. And it says they conducted a 4-year government-granted study beginning in 2012, which means it's still going on this year, about the meaning and functioning of first penetrative same-sex sexual experience of adolescent black men and black women. And you telling me that's not an agenda? It's not. Now, I don't agree with it on no level, but it's not even for all type of men and boys. It's specifically targeted to us. That sounds like every experiment they have put on black people since we've been over here. There ain't no denying that there's an agenda against black men. And you know why there's an agenda against black men? Because if the men are gone, who's going to fight? And then as you reduce the man, the woman who's not supposed to be a fighter. I'm not saying the woman is not a fighter, but that's not her primary role. Her primary role is the protector of the children while the man defends the household. You take the man out, one or two things are going to happen. The woman, the most common thing, the woman is going to teach the children to be docile. Because she's going to teach them, you want to survive, don't say this. You want to do this, don't say this. A perfect example, what do you think that woman is going to say to her child after witnessing her husband die in that car? After witnessing her husband die in that car, how is she now going to raise that daughter? She's going to raise that daughter to be in total fear, and now the man is gone. That's why the scriptures say no man can enter into a strong man's house unless he first bind up the strong man. That's the attack here. Give me the next slide. This is the proof of the attack. It says these people are using hundreds of thousands of taxpayers' dollars. Who y'all think provide these dollars? And who signed off on this? Obama. All of y'all that thought Obama was the savior, Farrakhan called him Jesus Christ. Oprah Winfrey called him Jesus Christ. As soon as he got in, this I don't like white people, don't get me wrong. But the one thing Bush at least publicly was against was homosexuality. Obama got in office and he couldn't wait to let the same sex get married. Now the number one thing is transgender, which we're going to talk about next. Next slide. It says, this is not about men, it's about boys. Anybody with common sense would know that that's what this is about. The men want to have sex with boys, they make up an experiment. What is to learn from molesting a boy other than to destroy it? I don't understand what that is to learn. All right? It says, They're spending hundreds of thousands of taxpayers' dollars to study anal sex experience of homosexual black male adolescents. That's the direct attack of what we're facing. And if there ain't men to stand up, there won't be no black men left. There won't be nobody left. It says this is not about the men, it's about the boys. How can the government grant taxpayer money to study where adolescent men are having sex with grown men from? That's to make us more feminine. Do y'all see hip-hop and TV? Everything that's being pushed. The last lecture that I did, I talked about the TV show Empire. The TV show Empire, the director of that said he's trying to blow up the gay movement. He's trying to make it to where the norm ain't gonna be a black man and a black woman walking down the street. The norm gonna be two black men walking down the street, two black women walking down the street, holding hand in hand. And that's in that culture. Keep going. Give me the next slide. I'm sorry, don't go there. It's, if you did, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Child molestation, which is what brought us to this forefront. Irritated Genie, we told y'all how we came together on this lecture. And what was beautiful in just a little sense is we didn't know nothing about the Bambaataa situation before we decided to come together. And then when we decided to come together, the Bambaataa situation happened, and I dived headfirst into that joint. Irritated Genie dived headfirst into that joint. I found out where Poppy was at. I messaged the brother. I got 2 accounts. He was messaging me on the wrong one, and when I found him, I called him, and then we did a press conference to show support, to do something from the norm. The normal thing would be everybody to rally around Bambaataa at that time. That would be the normal thing. He didn't do it. We got to stand by him. We're going to address that later. The abnormal or unnormal thing is to defend the damn victims. The victims are not represented. Let me tell you something. Black people have been molested since we've been in America. Period. We have been raped, robbed, and pillaged since we've been in America. Even if it's not the physical act, it's the mental act. That's the biggest battle we got. That's why every time we say black people got to come together, everybody thinks about white people first. No other race does that. Y'all know that? Every city got a Chinatown. Every city got a Jewish town, got an Arab town, and they run their whole thing by themselves and they're left alone. Anytime we want to come together, we got to include gays and white people. Since civil rights, because Martin Luther King, right-hand man, was a gay activist. So since civil rights, it's been about that. Give me the next slide, please. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. This is just some statistics. It says 1 in 4 black girls will be sexually abused before the age of 18. That's what we're fighting against. Black women are less likely to involve police in cases of child abuse for fears about betraying the family, because the black family has developed this thing where you put the fear in the child as well from even speaking against the man that's predatorizing them, speaking against the woman that's predatorizing them. And let me tell you something, that's what drug dealers are too. That's what thieves are too. That's what murderers are too. Because the same method of predatorization that they're using for that, that's how they learn it. And that's why we naturally protect them. We naturally protect child molesters because we naturally protect drug dealers the same exact way. And we can't, this is about child molestation and homosexuality, but we cannot address one without addressing all of it. Which is why that book is the only answer. This book right here, that everybody run from, this book right here that everybody run from, contains the solution for black people, because there's laws on how you raise up a nation. There's laws on how you treat a brother, a sister, and this book would never condone any type of illegal activity at all. So we have to address it all. Now it says, black women report being more severely abused with greater force. They also report more upset, greater long-term effects, and more negative life experiences. Irritated Genie brought up the history of slavery and how black women were abused. You know who observed that abuse? Black men observed that abuse. And you know what black men learn? I can do the same thing. That's why it says black women report being more severely abused with the greater force. Because we learn it from our father, the devil, like John 8:44 say, we learn how to predatorize the same exact way. So we abuse our black women instead of restoring our black women. Like everybody like to say we hate black women. I can't understand that. I don't even know what that means. I don't know what that means when I think everybody in UPK got a gang of women. I'm sorry, we ain't got one, Irritated. I'm sorry, it's like we got a gang of them. So I don't understand that concept when they say we hate black women. But what we do hate is how they dress it as if it's provocative. If they're in the strip club, if they're aborting their babies. And we understand that The reason why, I'm going to read this part here. Among the effects, post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, anxiety, sexual promiscuity, substance abuse, all of that's because they were raped. And you know what? We understand that. So now we're able to counsel those same sisters that we take on as wives or that we bring into the school, and we're able to heal them just like we heal brothers. Nobody loves black women more than we do. Next slide. Near present danger, it says 2/3 of all victims of sexual assault reported to the police were under 18. It says in nearly 95% of the cases, the offender was a family member. I cannot stress this enough, how we have to protect from our own in-house. The 95%, that number is not a lie. You know how sometimes they blow numbers up? That number is not a lie. When a woman or a boy is molested, it's going to go right back to their family member. And we have to make sure we get into that household and not allow it. It says, according to the Crimes Against Children Research Center, 1 in 5 girls, 1 in 20 boys is a victim of child sexual abuse. The exact number of actual sexual assaults is unknown since many victims never speak up. Or in some cases like Florida, the sexual assault is hushed up. I know a sister, man, I bring this out all the time, and she told me she was molested so many times, she just thought that was her life. Now, how does she act when she gets older? I guarantee you, all of the women that's in the strip clubs been victims of child abuse, and nobody said nothing. So although I don't agree with their lifestyle, and we don't condone strip clubs, if I talk to a sister that tell me that's her lifestyle, I don't just condemn her, we give her a solution. That's why Irritated said when he saw them brothers in D.C., they was cutting to the core of the sister. And the sister was crying. You know why? Because she was getting healed. That's why John 8:32 said, you shall know the truth and it shall make you free. The only way you're going to get free is you get shown the truth and then given an answer. We can't just beat a black woman down or a black man down and not give them a solution. You have to be able to give them a solution. In America, the most accurate scientific studies report that 30% of men, 40% of women remember having been sexually molested during childhood. Defining molestation as actual genital contact, not just exposure. It ain't always about the penetration. You shouldn't be playing with little boys' penises if it ain't your child. Number one, if you ain't changing the diaper, why are you touching the boy? Period. I mean, it should be an actual reason. I got girls, I never like changing their diapers. I'm sorry. I don't like changing. I'd rather my wife change the diaper. I don't like changing it. Period. It just don't make me feel comfortable. It says about half of these are directly incestuous with the family members. The other half being with others, but with the complicity of caretakers in at least 80% of the cases. The caretakers will be auntie or uncle or your grandmother or your grandfather or some daycare center or something like that. It says the seductions occurred at much earlier ages than had previously assumed, with 81% occurring before puberty and the astonishing 42% under the age of 7. Why is it so young? Because they're less applicable to talk. If I do it when they're 5, they may not say nothing. And so you wonder why your little kid don't talk. My daughter come in the house and she ain't talking all day. I got to talk to her for about 2 hours to find out what could be wrong. And I'm not saying that it's anything, but that's what we have to do. They had a phrase called children should be seen and not heard. You should let your children talk. You should never hush it. Your children should never feel like, I can't talk to daddy, I can't talk to mommy, because then that's what the predators want. Like that, if you want to stop children from being predatorized, allow them to speak. They're going to get on your nerves. They're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff, toys and all that. But let them be able to talk and at least know if something happens to me, I have security. I have a mother and father that cares for me. It says, adjusting statistically, I'm getting down to the bottom, for what is known for these additional factors, the real sexual abuse rate for America is 60% for girls, 45% for boys, about half of these directly incestuous. And if you can't really count the black neighborhood because they don't really report half of it. They keep it on the low. They keep it hushed. And if the woman get pregnant, they strip her down south. And you never hear from them again. Give me the next slide, please. Now, these are your leaders who either accept homosexuality, child molestation or rape. You got Eddie Long, Martin Luther King, you got York, Angela Davis, who was a lesbian, you got Farrakhan with the white boy hugging him. And you know who Farrakhan supported when it came out? He supported Bambaataa too. Yes, sir. You understand? Now, you also got, like I said, we cannot be hypocrites. If you look at the bottom right picture, you have two Israelite brothers. The one on the left decided that it was better to be a homosexual and buy a transgender. Now, we're not going to be hypocrites. We have to address what happens in the Israelite culture as well. You understand? We got to address what happens in the Kemet culture as well. Al Sharpton promotes it. Al Sharpton said, as a reverend, I know it's wrong to be a homosexual, but I can't stop somebody from doing what they want to do. That's our leadership. Give me the next slide. This is Malachi York, and I have to do this build-up for this reason alone. The reason why I have to do this build-up is because when we get to Bambaataa, you're going to see that Bambaataa is a child of the Nubians. We're going to play the tapes. It's a cultural system. That's why I said, when we say Christianity, it's not just one aspect, it's every aspect, because they all follow the same routine. You got people that defend Malachi York to this day, saying he couldn't have molested that many. I don't know about y'all, but really all it takes is you to molest one. You molest one, and that's all it takes. You should be removed from your position. Like, we shouldn't let that slide. So now, Malachi York wrote a book called Sodom Misinterpreted. Now, that's really all you need to know about whether he, am I in the way? That's really all you need to know to realize whether he was for homosexuality or against homosexuality. To say Sodom Misinterpreted, now y'all, and for those of y'all that don't know, Sodom is from Sodom and Gomorrah. Even the term sodomite comes from the Bible because they talk about the anal penetration of a man. Now, he wrote a book called Sodom Misinterpreted, and these are some of the quotes. He says, we at the Holy Tabernacle Ministries do not segregate against the gay population. I ask you, BK, there would never be a homosexual of any kind in our country. Just like there'll never be a white man, there'll never be anybody that's not with us, period. And what's wrong with that type of segregation? The LBGT, you have to be for their way of life. They're segregated. If you're not for their way of life, you can't join that movement. So why do we have to allow them in ours? You see the hypocrisy in that? It's like they force it. And then even if you speak against, like let's say they legalize it in America, you can't even have an opinion against it. Your opinion has to be for homosexuality. That's how you know it used to say we shouldn't worry about what goes on in the bedroom. Well, they done took it out of the bedroom and put it in your life. And you know why they do that? You know why they make homosexuality like that or transgender like that? Because they have to justify their evilness or wickedness. So now, you know why people that don't speak against homosexuality is because they know they're doing an evil act. And so they don't want to be looked at as guilty either. So nobody says nothing about what nobody's doing. You're allowed to be what in America? So-called free. But we die. When we become homosexuals, we are #1 in AIDS. In Atlanta alone, that's like the new black San Francisco with the AIDS rate that they got. I got the numbers on that too. So now it says, this is page 23. It says, this is the reality that we who call ourselves heterosexual, meaning straight men, straight women, population have to accept that the love, that their love, meaning man-on-man love, is the same kind of love that we feel and are sharing with the wife and the husband. This is what comes out of Malachi York's mouth. This is what comes out of his mouth. And now, if your leader is that, then what are you? If you're going to stand with somebody like I wholeheartedly stand with Commander Genie, because there ain't an unrighteous thing that comes out of his mouth. Now, for the sake of argument, if anything was to come out of his mouth like, I'm not with that no more, period. And he taught me that. He taught me that if I ever say something contrary to what we laid down, to not stand with him. That's what a real leader would do. But a leader that wants to accept homosexuals because he's a homosexual will find a way to say we have to accept it the same. It's not the same. To be a homosexual is a mental defect. And America didn't have a problem with it being a mental defect until about 71, 73, when the gays raided San Francisco and forced the mental doctors to change the status. And then once they changed the status, then it was like, okay. They say gays ain't violent. They the most violent bastards on the face of the planet, period. Now, Leviticus, and the reason why I'm bringing this scripture, Leviticus 20 and 13, for anybody that read the book, and if I can sidebar for a second, every time I study this subject, I can't speak for Irritated Genie, it gives me a headache, period. The stuff that we have to research, Tazaryach can attest, the stuff that we have to research, listen to, even watching Irritated Genie's presentation was tough. Like who really wants to sit and have to study that? But the job for real men is to soldier up, deal with the issues that affect black people, so that's why we do it. So now, if you actually read the book, it quotes this verse, Leviticus 20 and 13, it says, if a man also lie with mankind, as he lied with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination, they shall surely be put to death, their blood shall be upon them. This is the only place you're going to find that. And now, here's the heavy part. It says, in the next part of the book, he says you have to be an Israelite or Hebrew to violate that law. You know why? You know what he's telling you? As long as you don't call yourself an Israelite or a Hebrew, you can have sex with a man if you're a man. You can have sex with a woman if you're a woman. That's why he converted. If anybody knows the history of it, he used to follow Israelite or the Bible. Then he went to Islam. Then he went to this. Then he created New Wahabianism, so that he can continue proliferating, penetrating little boys. And nobody say nothing about it. Now, it says, and the reason why I say that is because he said, but this doesn't apply to Buddhist, Egyptian, Jainism, Zen Buddha. He started naming all the different religions, and he named Kemet too. And now when I speak about Kemet, please don't get offended. Because we have to face that, whether you want to say that it's not in Kemet or not, it's not my argument today. Just like if you want to say it's in the Bible or not, it's not my argument today. My argument today is that people use this Bible to justify homosexuality, even though it's not in there. So if you want to tell me that people are using Kemet to justify homosexuality and it's not in there, I don't have a problem with that. But you cannot deny that people are using Kemet to justify homosexuality. You cannot deny that. So we have to face that, because on page 85 of that same book, Malachi York said one of the greatest rulers of ancient Egypt, Akhenaten, was a hermaphrodite. That's in the book. He said not only was he a hermaphrodite, he said he was a transvestite, and others say he was a homosexual husband of Nefertiti. That's in his book, page 85. You can Google this right now, go to Sodom Misinterpreted, and read that he said that. That's what he's saying about Kemet. So now, what does that make anybody that follow Kemet, that's struggling with homosexuality, what does that make them do? That makes them say, well, if Akhenaten is a homo, I can be a homo. They do the same thing with the Bible. We ain't hypocrites. Listen, we can stand on that Bible. Do they not do the same thing with David and Jonathan? Claiming that David was homosexual just because David took off his garment and gave it to Jonathan. Now, everybody reads that verse and say, see, that's homosexual. I'm going to tell you something. Only a faggot would believe that's homosexual. Period. Let me tell you something. I can give this brother my garment right now, my whole entire garment. Nobody would think that I stripped my clothes in front of all of y'all in this room so y'all can see me naked. You know what y'all would know? I went to the goddamn bathroom, took my garment off, gave him my garment, put another set of clothes on. That's how real men think. Faggots think the other way. Give me the next slide, please. This your boy Bambada. Now we get to Africa. Now, Irritated don't like me to put the Africa in front of that. He like Greek. But we got to leave the Africa in there, because you have to face. We got to really face the atrocity, because now, if we take away the Africa, right, and put the Greek in there, you're going to make another sexual predator that want to use Africa, he's still going to use it, because what does he know? Psychologically, we're going to just take it out like it ain't never happened. So if people, all they see is Greek, 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 and this cat called him Africa, he going to think, oh, that's Greek. This Africa cat ain't doing that because he say Africa. He's an Africa Bambati boy, period. Please play the clip. Please play the clip, please.
Peace and blessings. This is Africa Bambata of the Universal Zulu Nation, in great, great, great support of the master teacher, Dr. Malachi Z. York. We are here to talk about our brother who needs to be free from jail, that everybody needs to get the facts right, to get out there and seek the truth, the factology to what happened in this case, to bring it before the public, to bring it before the people, to get a right overstanding on the case of Dr. Malachi Z. York. My brother.
In that video that we was going to play with Africa Bambata is his defense of Malachi Z. York. A lot of people don't know that. I didn't even know that. Bambata went down to Tamaray, you know that pyramid they built down there so they could secretly have sex with boys. He went down to that pyramid and had other little boys homeboy standing next to him and said that we stand with Bambaataa. Excuse me, we stand with Malachi Z. York. He didn't molest them boys, even though he's under the prison and he admitted to the charge. Now, if I didn't do nothing, I'd gladly go to prison for something that I didn't do. There's no time that you could give me that would make me say, okay, I'll do it, period, if you're innocent. Now, if you're guilty, you will say, okay, let me take that crime. After he did that, who was the #1 defender of Bambaataa? Because that's what we're going to get into next. Anybody know? KRS-One. Listen, KRS used to be my favorite rapper. He used to be my favorite rapper. I used to like the rappers. Now, here's what I'm finding out, too, is that all the cats that I thought was thorough, like BDP and KRS-One, all these different people, I'm finding out they homosexual. Who didn't think Zulu Nation was the hardest shit on the planet? Excuse my language. Who didn't think they was hard? Everybody thought they was hard. Everybody thought they was tough. And we found out they was nothing but a bunch of homosexuals. Period. All right? Let me know when you get it back up. Now, KRS-One said some things in his defense. One of the things that he said was that if you agree that Bambaataa molested them boys, you should quit hip-hop. That's what he said. That's why the reason why I played those videos in the beginning, and the reason why he said that is because we have to treat Africa Bambaataa like he's infallible. Does anybody know what infallible means? Meaning he's a god. He's a deity. Now, what's different from that than Eddie Long? What's different from that than Malachi York? That's why you know it's all Christian. He said that he has to be infallible, and no matter what he does, we have to let that slide. Can you play that clip?
When you're talking about Africa Bambaataa, first of all, you're talking about the person who invented hip-hop, not participated in it. There was no hip-hop before Africa Bambaataa. Let's start there. So anyone who has a problem with Africa Bambaataa should quit hip-hop.
I just think for balance that everything, both perspectives should be given a respectful acknowledgement.
Not against Africa Bambaataa. They're not Africa Bambaataa.
No one's untouchable.
No, yes you are. We have to learn that. No, we have to learn that. Our leadership has to be untouchable, or they're not leaders. You see how they do their leadership? Their leadership rapes people, kills people, does all lies to people, lies to the American public, and they still go away. We can debate their shortcomings, but they still the leader. And this is what black people do not understand. We never understood it, and it's time that at least hip-hop understands this. Some of us are infallible. Some of us are going to have to be untouchable, or our entire culture is going to fall. Our culture cannot fall on the accusations of 4 people. That's weak.
In that clip, he says, we have to learn from America. America accepts, if you know anything about the history of America, it was built on bloodshed. It was built on murder. It was built on rape and everything. Now, he said, even though white people know that it was built on murder and bloodshed, they still support their leaders. They still won't send their leaders to jail. He said, that's what we have to learn. So what he's basically saying is that we have to accept criminals. Regardless of what they do to other people, we have to accept what they're saying. So he's saying that Bambaataa is molesting boys for the sake of rap music. Because Bambaataa ain't even a leader like that. For the sake of rap music, we have to let him slide. Because he built a playground or something like that. You know who else build playgrounds and give out turkeys? Drug dealers do the same thing. That's why if you watch the movies like New Jack City and American Gangster, they show the drug dealers giving out the turkeys or whatever, and for a moment, you forget about all the murder and crime that he's doing because he gave you a goddamn turkey. That's how he's saying we got to treat Bambaataa. Now, when you equate Bambaataa to a drug dealer, you can understand. But when they say, oh, it's just a wreck, oh, he didn't do nothing, oh, we got to keep it for hip-hop, then you have an issue with that. And we can't be like that. Did it come back yet? Get me up to the slide that I need, please. Yeah, these is all the quotes. That's his name going forward. Because I'm going to tell you something. And Poppy brought it out. He might say it later. KRS-One made a song called 13 and Good. I never thought about that till you said that. In the song 13 and Good, talks about how they raped, or statutory rape, I call it all rape, raped a 13-year-old girl, then the father of the 13-year-old girl wanted to have sex with the man too. That's KRS Life. If we had a chance to play that video, you could see KRS-One's mannerisms is feminine. Because I guarantee you, the reason why he's defending Bambaataa like that is because he was predatorized too. I'm going to tell you something. Pay attention to who defends these leaders, like Malachi York, Eddie Long, Bambaataa. They was all sexually molested by those leaders. That's why they defended them. Just like a lover defends them because that's how they feel. Now, KRS-One said, first of all, controversy is not truth, is what KRS-One responded with. Now, I don't know what the controversy is because there's 5 people that said that he did it. So what's the controversy? The only thing that gets Bambaataa off is the time limit that they put on that particular crime. And if anybody wants to know why they have that thing out there, because the Roman Catholic priests, there was a New York governor, they won't change it because the New York governor supports the priests. So if they make no statute of limitations, then them priests that's molesting boys can get away with it too. That's why they can't charge Bambaataa. Now, it says KRS-One explained that none of what Bambaataa did, for hip-hop can be taken away. We're not talking about anything that he did for hip-hop. We talk about what he did to these little boys. No matter what great work me and this brother did, I'll use us. If we did any crime, all the work that we did is thrown away. It should be dropped down to the bottom. It says for me, if you keep it hip-hop, nothing can be taken away from Bambaataa. Nothing, just keep it hip-hop. But if you want to dig into dude's personal life and accusations that's being made, so on and so on, me personally, I don't give a damn. I'm saying damn because Irritated, they don't like them cuss words. He said, I don't give a damn. It says, personally, if someone was harmed or whatever, y'all got to deal with it. But that don't stop hip-hop, meaning the show must go on. Instead of stopping it, because they got a cat from the Jungle Brothers, Baby Bam, right? I never paid attention to Baby Bam until this story came out. You had the Baby Bam, Bam's Baby, if you reverse it. I never paid attention. Has anybody seen Baby Bam lately? He's a homosexual. That's why he was called flaming homosexual. Got the eyeliner, got all of that, because he was he was Bam's baby, hence the name. He come from the Jungle Brothers, the De La Soul, all of them. When I look at it, they call it the Daisy Age with flowers. What man has the Daisy Age? I'm sorry. UBK, we ain't got no flowers, right, Cap? We don't do the whole flower bit like that. They put some flowers up here. Captain of the car said, Slacker, sir. I need to get them flowers off the table. We don't do that flowers around here. Now, it says, the South Bronx rapper also dismissed the allegations as accusations and gossip and said he believed Bambaataa was beyond reprimand. He says, some of us are infallible. These are his quotes. Some of us are going to have to be untouchable or our entire culture is going to fall. How about we say someone is going to have to be righteous or our entire culture will have to fall? Why do we have to be criminal to build this nation? You know why? Because we're following after the so-called white man. We look at the history of how he established America. You want to know why the killings and stuff? There's a brother by the name of Wendell. He was from the TV show The Wire. He was a detective. And he was on the Bill Maher show. And they was talking about the crime and criminal acts that black men commit. And Wendell said something heavy. He said, the part that y'all not realizing is we had a great teacher. I'm surmising what he said. He said the white man came over here and wiped out an entire race of Native Indians. Taino Indians, 77 million. Wiped out 25 million Mexicans. Enslaved over 99 million black slaves. And then on the Trail of Tears, to show how unmerciful he is, he gave them blankets filled with syphilis. He said, so that culture of being a killer is something that we learned since we've been in America. Because America has been built on bloodshed. That's how that happens. Give me the next slide, please. I would rather be in an organization or follow behind a leader that says that you can't rape, you can't molest, you can't deal drugs, you can't get high. Like, we got so many afflictions that have to be addressed. It's insane. Keep with you on the next slide. This is what Ron Savage said. These are some quotes from Ron Savage. I'm using his quotes more so because he did come but he couldn't stay. And Poppy is here. He'll be able to speak for himself. Savage said, I wanted to know how much he damaged me growing up. Because what do these leaders prey on? They prey on you looking at them and liking them and looking at as a form of trustworthiness, which is what they said about the Christian church, which is how you know this is all Christian. So he looks at it like, you're going to look at me as Bambaataa you're going to think when I say let's do this homosexual love as if you can trust me because you like me. Not, even though you know it's wrong. That's why as they get older, they don't know how to react. That's why some men, I believe, when you see these little gang thugs out here and they as violent as they are, if you go into their history, they were raped. All of them boys. The girls too, them girls in them strip clubs and doing all that nastiness, you want the proof? Only men that were raped, that situation in Brooklyn where they raped that girl in the park, and they said the brother did it, only rape victims can do something like that. You know why? Because because they were victimized, they want to victimize other people. It's no different than drug dealing, and I make the comparison because it's correct. Brothers that deal drugs and destroy other families, you'll ask them, because my family was destroyed. Nobody came and saved me, so now I want to destroy another person's family. Instead of saying, let's stop the madness. How about we just stop and fix the family and say, nobody else gets destroyed again. That's the method that we should do. He said, I was just a child. Did he take my innocence away? Why did he do this to me? Now, why can't this question get answered? Because we hush it up. Because that whole Zulu nation thought it was better to hush it up and allow him, and not only just hush it up, like let's say if that one event happened, and then they say, okay, Bambaataa, we're going to hush this up, but you can't do it no more. And they make a concerted effort to fix it. We would never know it would just be that one time. But they didn't just hush it up. They allowed it to be proliferated. They allowed him to keep doing it for 30 years. And if it wasn't for Savage, Poppy, and the other victims that came out, we would never know. We would never know. Keep going. Savage, who was adamant about not wanting a payday, because that's the number one thing they say, or they just want to get paid. Savage ain't asked for a dime yet, neither has Poppy. He says the Bronx Native was just 23 years old and already well known and respected when he first began molesting him. According to Savage, there was 5 specific incidents that occurred, yet he didn't go to the police. It was only much later in life that he confided in his wife or his past girlfriends. For time's sake, give me the next slide, please. I just got I think I got like 20 more slides I want to get in. I know I might be close to an hour, so I'm sorry. I apologize. This is Atlanta zip codes. I mentioned this before, so we like to bring out the stats. It says, according to the CDC, the South has the greatest number of people living with the disease and dying from it because anal sex is a blood disease. And we were told not to do it. And whether you like it or not, there's curses that are being brought upon us because we sinned against our power. We sinned against the Most High. Now, we want to get fixed, we're going to have to stop. No, like, what black people don't want is a moral compass. A moral compass is like, you know, when you want to go north, south, left, and right, you have to have a compass to guide you. There's a compass in this book that says how you treat a brother, how you treat a sister. What you're supposed to celebrate, what you're not supposed to celebrate. Who you're supposed to give your love to and not give your love to. The one thing black folk need is to give love to black people. Period. We can't even love, like, and I know the African thing and we got the Israelite thing, but we can't love another continent until we can first love the people in Harlem, New York. Brothers walk up and down the street, act like they don't even know each other. Period. We have to at least fix that condition first, and then we can venture out somewhere else. You go to the next slide, please. This is some scientific facts. There was a doctor in California that they hired. Because I was one of them conspiracy types. Somebody told me, man, they put something in the food to turn our men more feminine and our women more masculine. I didn't want to believe that because I didn't think the white man had that much kind of power. This was years ago. I was a little naive. But then there was a brother out in California, Dr. Tyrone Hayes. And the university or the crop growers actually hired him. And they wanted to hire him and test the pesticides that they was using on crops. And they used frogs as the guinea pigs, so to speak. So it says frogs and toads are rapidly disappearing around the world. Nobody knows why. Climate change, population, unknown diseases, and so forth. Now a U.S. biologist has put forward another explanation, which is the pesticides, the food that we get. Like, I know y'all like to be vegans, but unless you got a farm, that's contaminated too. Excuse me. Now, Dr. Tyrone Hayes of the University of California, Berkeley, claims atrazine could be a danger to the amphibians of the world. Now, they hired him to find out what is causing this problem. Now, you would think once he tell them that these pesticides is causing the problem, if they actually cared, they would change up the pesticides, right? At least do that if they love humans or black people or whatever, or white, anybody. So now it says, according to the study, the chemical can turn male tadpoles into hermaphrodites. frogs with both male and female sexual characteristics. Atrazine is sprayed on corn, soybeans, for y'all like that soy milk, whatever that is. It says soybeans and other crops, but it can run off into ponds where amphibians swim and breed. Next slide. This is the science continued. Gender-bending effects on fish and frogs raise serious concerns about the impact such chemicals are having on our wildlife, especially the effects were found at such low levels. Hayes said that atrazine, which is used on up to 50% of corn crops as pesticides, can possibly have the same effects on humans, meaning the way it's turning the animals into hermaphrodites and so forth, they can do the same thing to us. Now, when Dr. Hayes gave that report, you think they would say, okay, thank you, man, we're going to change up what we do. No. Now, that ain't got as much to do with homosexuality as much it has to do with how diabolical the white man is and how rich and wealthy he wants to get. Because when he came with that information, the company tried to buy Dr. Hayes in order to gain control over that data. And when he refused, they set out a vicious campaign to threaten his family, threaten his life, and everything. That's why we say the white man is the devil. The white man don't even care about other white people either. Don't ever think that he cares about you. He don't care about the air or the animals. Give me the next slide, please. Transgender, this is the #1 issue today. Where you defecate at is like the most important issue amongst America right now. I never knew going to the bathroom was that important. I thought we at least learned from the 60s, it don't matter. We fought for the bathroom rights too back then. So now, they want to make it to where, you get the next slide, that's fine. Gender neutral bathrooms, it says, what happens and continues to happen. This is your famous boy, Barack Obama. All of this is because of him and thanks to him. Transgender is now the next thing, because what you'll realize is that every single aspect of evil is about to take place in this place. Transgender is going to be the next thing. And the heavy part about it is, it ain't even based on them changing themselves surgically. It's just, if you're a man and you just say you're a woman, now you can go into the woman's bathroom. Now, if you're a predator, that's the perfect element to predatorize. That's the perfect way to say, man, no, I'm a girl. I'm just a girl. I just want to go to that bathroom, and then you go in there and rape. We got some stories on that too. It says what happened and what continues to happen is you have transgenders in schools, and they get bullied and they get ostracized, and it's tough for them, Obama said. My best interpretation of what our laws and obligations are is that we should try to accommodate these kids so that they are not vulnerable in that situation. Now, when I read that, I thought about when Trayvon died, right? And Obama said, I'm Trayvon. Y'all remember that? When he died, he said, I'm Trayvon. Now, if he had the same fury that he had for the transgender, would he have at least gotten Trayvon Martin justice against Zimmerman, or would Zimmerman been allowed to get free? You don't have that, because they don't care about us. They're very selective about what they're about. Give me the next one. On May 13th of this year, President Obama, through the power of his Department of Justice and Department of Education, declared that every public school facility should no longer have sex-distinct bathrooms. Changing rooms or showers, no facility should be restricted to either male or female in any school. I mean, you send your daughter to school to shower. I told my daughter a long time ago she can't even change her gym clothes at the gym at all, because they shouldn't do that. Now, can you imagine if you go take a shower as a woman and there's a man standing next to you? Do you actually believe that he's transgender? I don't know. I mean, women don't believe that at all. So now it says the non-binding guidance contained the implicit threats of cuts in federal funding. If it was not followed, it relied on interpretation of Title X, which protects people from discrimination based on sex and education initiatives. The condition is a certain compliance. Give me the next slide, please. What that's basically saying, give me the next slide. Thank you. It says what happened and what continues to happen in transgender schools, they get bullied. My best interpretation is this directive. The directive came as the Justice Department and North Carolina battled in federal court, because what happened is, as they bring out this transgender movement and they try to force it, and all you got to do is just say, as a man, I'm a woman, or as a woman, I'm a man. I was actually surprised that North Carolina battled against that. Do y'all know what happened because North Carolina battled against that? Anybody keep up with the news? Anybody know? The NBA said, we now going to have our all-star game in North Carolina because men that want to be women can't defecate. Now, if you really care, why don't they just make a transgender bathroom so we can all be separate? If you want to be transgender, let's just be in a separate bathroom if they really care. That's to show you how hard they're pushing this transgender, this homosexual agenda. And we cannot have that in the black community. It says we should deal with this issue the same way we would want it dealt with, as if it was our own child. As if it was our own child. Give me the next slide, please. This is the NBA story I was bringing out earlier. It said one of the biggest economic consequences to come out of North Carolina's controversial law, which bans them, is that the National Basketball Association decided to pull out. Give me the next slide. That's very important to understand because it's key that they said economic. Because when you see these organizations that support that, the only way you can get funding from the government now is if you support everything the government supports. So if you want funding, you have to let transgenders get their way. You have to let homosexuals get their way. You have to let bisexuals get their way. You got to let everybody get their way. That's the only way that you can get it. And now, this is some science on transgender, and they say when you see the little boy or the little girl and they want to be reversed, this is what science says about it. It says, many clinicians working with such children do not refer to them as transgender, but as gender dysphoric, meaning it's a mental disease. That's what that terminology is. That's a mental term. Just like they used to have a mental term for homosexuals. It says this is because the best research reveals that 75 to 98% of children who at some point identify as the opposite sex return to their biological sex or identity sometime before the onset of puberty. You know what that means? When a child is grown up, they don't know if they're sneaking in the cookie jar. They don't know when they look at these shoes, if that's man's shoes or woman's shoes. Who teaches them that? We do. So if the parents is doing their job, when you see the boy grab mama's shoes, you say, boy, don't grab them shoes, don't put them on. But what they teaching you today, if you see that boy grab mama's shoes, you might want to encourage that because he might be transgender, instead of properly educating them. And science backs that up because they say up to 98% of them children will change because it's like you learn anything as a kid. You don't know right from wrong, you don't know nothing. That's why we need that book. It says, it is something that they are, but something overwhelming majority deal with a period for a time in childhood, meaning they deal with that just like they deal with anything else. It says leading clinicians working in the Netherlands report that the results unequivocally show that gender dysphoria remitted after the puberty in the vast majority of children, thus just referring to this condition as gender dysphoric children as transgender is not advised by the best research. Even science is saying that we shouldn't encourage our children, if they're a boy, to encourage them to be a girl. But have y'all seen the images that's presented in the black community? When they have the boys dressed up as women or the women dressed up as girls. Who was the first transgender basketball player? A black woman. A black woman. Was a black man that converted to a woman is the first Division I college basketball player, but she was a man converted to a woman. When they came out with the athletes that were gay first, who were they? Black people. When they wanted to put that image on black people, they put that cat in the draft. What was his name? The brother from the Cowboys got drafted by the Cowboys. Now say it again. Michael Sam. Now he was drafted in the 7th round of the NFL draft. Who the hell even watches that? Who watches the 7th round of the NFL draft? You might watch the first 2 rounds. Why was that important? Because it would encourage other black people to be gay. That's why as soon as he won, and what did they show you the image of? Him kissing his white lover. Him kissing his white lover, so now other black people can go ahead and be gay. That's why Johns Hopkins is experimenting on gay boys to turn out men into homosexuals. It says this is primarily why the Amsterdam Gender Identity Clinic, one of the largest clinics in Europe treating gender dysphoric children, does not recommend that parents, teachers, or clinicians facilitate pre-adolescent sex transitioning. So why does that? America does it? Because this is modern day Babylon. In Babylon, they did whatever it is that they wanted to do, and they do the same thing here. Give me next slide. What am I looking like on the time? Pass? Oh, okay, no sweat. It says transgender literally means anything to anyone. Gender identity. This is in the United States government records on what gender identity is. Gender identity is defined in the administrative directive, refers to an individual's internal sense of gender. A person's gender identity may be different from or the same as the person's sex assigned birth. What does that mean, internal sense? I mean, it's whatever I feel. So if today I want to go chill with the women and go get in the women's changing room, that's where I go. I'm a woman. Or I want to go into the women's bathroom, that's where I go. I'm a woman. Or if I'm a woman wanting to be a man, I say the same exact thing. It says nearly all LGBT advocacy organizations define gender identity similarly. The concern is captured in two words, internal sense. Gender identity is what the person says it is. Keep going. These are 5 instances of what the transgender agenda is going to do to us. It says in Seattle, a man citing transgender bathroom laws was able to gain access to a woman's locker room and where little girls were changing for swim practice. That's what transgender does. In Toronto, a man also claiming transgender was sentenced to jail for sexually assaulting several women in a shelter after he gained access. In Virginia, another man was caught for peeping and filming women in the bathroom. In Los Angeles, another man. And 2 male students in Toronto was also caught. This is where we're going to. Give me the next slide. This is the life in America. Now imagine if nobody stands on the front lines for this. I'm going to give y'all another one. Irritated Genie sent me a message with, I forget the brother's name that did the battle rap. What's the brother's name? Perfecto, right? Perfecto did a battle rap. I'm going to give a very hard lesson in what Perfecto did and in reality why he shouldn't do it. And I like Perfecto and I said the same thing to him. Perfecto battled this homosexual, and I didn't have time to add it to the slide. Now, in the battle, when Irritated Genie first sent me the message, and I see that it's a straight man battling a homosexual, the first thing I said was, how did he get in that arena? I think the battle arena, I think that's the last of the masculine men. Like, how did he even get in there? And so then I watched the tape. And so when Perfecto battling, yeah, he getting at him, he calling him a homo, he doing all that. And then the homosexuals start talking. And then if you don't listen, Jimmy, if you don't watch the video, when he's talking, he sounds like a woman, he's dressed like a woman, moving and everything like a woman, and then he's saying derogatory things to the brother, but he's like, you know, brothers use that term, blow my ride. Y'all know what they really say. But I've never understood saying that to another man, but that's what men say. Now imagine when the homo says it to the brother. He got to sit there and take that. Is that not molestation too? Yeah. Because when he says that to him, he mean it. When he say I'm gonna bang you in your behind, he means that. So Perfecto is getting molested right on the goddamn stage and don't even realize it. And let me tell y'all what happens. We think we battling the homo by letting them come into that arena. That ain't how you battle a homo. You battle a homo by not even letting them in. That's how you battle a homosexual. Listen, that brother tried to do a lecture at the National Black Theater. And because the National Black Theater is for the LGBT, did you get in there? They battled him right. Because that's what they supported. Now, if we're about that hip-hop, and we're about not letting homosexuals in our realm, battling them and giving them a voice is not battling. Because now, what did that do? That said, homosexuals can get in the battle arena and can battle and talk as derogatory as they want. And because you can't be violent, you got to sit there and listen to this homo degrade the hell out of you. Welcome to America. That's why the greatest lesson we could ever learn is to not allow anybody amongst us that's destroying us. No matter what their skin tone is, no matter how much you like them, we have to be separated because we can only fix ourselves. There's no method of cure that another nation can give us. Because no other nation can understand our condition but us. We've been trying it for like 500 years with the so-called white man. We came up with every slogan on the planet. Black hoodies, what was it, hoodies and Skittles, hands up, don't shoot, ain't none of that work. You could lay on the ground, like I said earlier, put your hands in the air, and the white man will still shoot you and say, I don't know why I shot you. Because he don't know nothing but killing black people. Give me the next one. Wait, hold on, I'm sorry. Yeah, give me the next one. I'm going to wrap it up in a second so I can give time for Poppy, and then we want to do a Q&A as well. I appreciate y'all coming out again. This story here, y'all see he got the rainbow around him, right? Give me the next one. He's a North Carolina teacher. And in that school, that elementary teacher has resigned after his decision to read gay-themed children's books to his 3rd grade class. So he ain't reading King and Queen. He reading King and King. Now, children suck up information like a sponge. So if you're raising your kids, and if you're not molesting them but teaching them that that's okay, what will happen? You will be allowed to molest them. Or they'll be allowed to think it's okay to kiss a boy if I'm a boy, kiss a girl if I'm a girl. So we don't battle this on the front line. I'm going to clip it there. So we don't battle this on the front line. Who will battle it on the front line? Nobody. So I applaud Straight Black Pride. We should applaud ISUBK for the great work that we do, and we will never stop. No matter what the issue is that affects black people, I guarantee you we'll be on the front line for that. That's my time. We're going to take a quick break, about maybe 10 short minutes. Oh, yeah. Come on, Jim. Yeah, come on, Jim. Yeah, come on, Jim, too. This ain't my show. This is our show. I'll get the good life. I gave him the good life. See, I'm fair. I gave him the good life. Once again, we like to appreciate everybody coming out. I'm going to give yourself a round of applause. This was an excellent event, a much needed event. And a never-ending event. Like these type of issues, we need to deal with consistently and never stop. Gotta stop. Can you find Victor? Call Victor. Have him put the light on. These type of events we should never stop having. We should keep them going forward. Irritated Genie. Irritated Genie got an event August the 20th. He got an event upcoming. If you was all looking on your flyers, on August the 20th, he got an event in D.C. where they'll also be addressing issues. And he was kind enough to invite me down. So I'm actually going to come down and I'll be a part of that event on August the 20th, which shows that this was not a prop. It was not something that we did for show or something we did to get some money or something like that. This is a sincere brother that deals with homosexuality as we do, and so we decided to unite. So that's August the 20th. We'll get down with that. And the 21st. They're having a cookout on the 21st as well, so it'll definitely be a great event. I want to bring to the stage, I'm going to let Poppy come on, Irritated Genie come on too, but I want to bring up front my brother Poppy. Like I said, this brother has been a staunch pillar for standing against the atrocities that have been committed and should be committed, because everybody might look at myself, Irritated Genie, but this is the real hero and all of this. The victims that can come out and speak against this, those are the heroes, and we need to encourage and make them more heroes and make the predators heroes. So, without further ado, unless you want to say something, Irritated, I want to give the floor to Poppy, and you guys say what you want to feel.
First off, I want to thank everybody for coming out. I want to thank these brothers for stepping up to the forefront, you know, in dealing with this topic, which seems like a lot of people want to avoid, whether it be Facebook or a conversation while people are running from this topic. I don't know what it is. It's like a loaded gun. I see dudes, soldiers, they stand on a corner, and mind you, even for me, I'd rather be in a shootout right now than standing up here pouring my pain. That's more comfortable it's more comfortable for me to be on the block in the midst of a shootout than to stand up here and to speak on this topic. Now, certain things that I wanted to talk about, I can't really get into it because my baby girl, she made me bring her out. You know, she was like, Dad, you're not going to take me? So I don't really want to give too much in my pain, because if it breaks them, it's going to break me. You know? But for the most part, there's a kid somewhere in the closet, depressed, crying, emotional, wrecked. The question is, what are we going to do to save them? See, we can come up and we can tell our stories, but I'm not all the way past mine, but I'm past it to the point to where that I'm ready to move on and snatch that little kid out that closet and say, yo, you know, I'm I'm just looking for ideas because for me to deal with the situation all over again, it was like opening up Pandora's box, opening up a scab, a wound. Reliving this is like, it's crazy. And when the story first came out with me, and I told what happened with me on Facebook, right? I can remember the things that was leading up to it. I was watching an episode of, it was a show with, I think Shamar Moore. He's an FBI agent. And he went back to his high school dealing with the gym teacher that molested him. And when I was watching that, I was actually watching the episode of that in the same building that I was molested in, because I didn't live in Bam's building. I lived up the hill in the building across from his. And I watched that episode, and it was like, I was just trying to hold back the tears because I was in somebody else's house and I ain't gonna let it loose. And then, maybe a few days later, I had a conversation. I was drinking heavy beer, and I ended up on the phone with my mother, and I slipped and told her, and her silence was deadly. So after that, you know, the Million Man March came about, and I just let it out. Like, you know, I couldn't understand how all these Zulus not gonna stand up for the people. And some of y'all been coming to y'all telling you like, yo, we need to talk, we need to deal with Bam. I didn't ever say it was me. But the reality of it is I didn't have to say who it was. Y'all already knew the rumors was there for over 40 years. There's no surprise. Walking through the neighborhood, Bam, his name is Mud. You know, and even though he does good things for the community, like sing and dance, lower little kids in a room with $10, the first time Bam actually broke me in, how he started off, he has a book of heroes. And the heroes is dudes like me that look up to me like, yo, that brother right there, he's strong, he can fight, he knows karate, he raps. Then he opens up a book with these dudes in him, and everybody's butt naked. But when you look at this book, what's disturbing about it is, you look at the age of the dudes that he's showing you. He caught them around my age. And, you know, I'm gonna move off of that. Because like I said, I got my babies watching. At the end of the day, this is a fight that we have to come together and fight. We can't just talk about it. I had people reaching out, like all over the world, reaching out with stories, and I feel helpless. Like, what am I supposed to do? I stopped drinking and started drinking again, like, damn. The stories is just like, wow, it's amazing. And one of the stories that stood out to me was somebody that said they was in a foster care system, and it was like, I left one hellhole and went into another one. So now what I'm trying to figure out, and maybe we can figure out together by forming some type of group on Facebook, by keeping in contact, by, you know, donating whatever money we could to these brothers or to some type of fund to get us started to pull these kids out of these houses. Because the reality of it is, it's like a woman, she made a video, it was very touching on YouTube, and somebody tagged me to it. And she was just breaking down, like, every time she said my name, it just rung in my soul. Poppy, how your mother didn't see your pain. As a mother, somebody should have recognized the signs. The first thing we have to do is recognize the signs, because there's no way in hell I'm gonna look at my little girls and not gonna see the signs. I'm not gonna see them signs. The depression, whatever you're going through, but I guess in our community, sometimes we get so caught up in our stresses that we neglect our kids. And maybe one day they might come to me and say, well, Daddy, this day I had something to tell you, but you were so caught up in your problems. Y'all know y'all can talk to me. I got y'all. As I look around this room and I see y'all, I'm like, wow, I feel good from all the love that I'm getting, and at the same time, it's like, so many people call me on the phone. He robbed me. He shot me. Like, where y'all at? So many family members. My family members should have filled this up. I got molested on y'all watch, and now you're still not standing on the front line. But you know why? Because in one of my rants that I own, ran it in Facebook, I put out there that my grandmother's husband molested all of my mother's sisters. So now, because I put that on the front line, and I guess my grandmother didn't do anything about it because of whatever she went through in her prior life, the fact that she was with that man, she's no longer with him now, but for some time, she stayed with the man. I'm the enemy of the state because I let the cat out the bag. And this is what we're dealing with in our community. Child molestation is not to be spoke upon because it might be your mother's boyfriend. It might be your father, your mother overlooking because she don't want him to leave. So when we find children in these situations, what do we do? Because when they go to the foster care system, who's going to say, not on my watch? Who's going to step up to the plate and say, not on my watch? The foster care system is not enough. Some of us need to step up to the plate, which I have done. My daughter's own best friend is now my new daughter. She ran away. So now she's actually home right now, watching the rest of the kids that I didn't want to bring them, but they made me come, bring them out. And I can't really go where I want to go because I can't break my babies down. But I want y'all to understand, just sitting here on a day-to-day basis, and even being in this room, I couldn't really give y'all what I wanted to because it just put me back as that little boy sitting in the closet looking for my dad, who wasn't my protector. Bambada became my dad. He was like the uncle that paid your way to college and molested you at the same time. And it's sad because a lot of people was in the same situation. I got situations that I'm dealing with right now. I'm fighting behind the scenes with people that's leaving their kids with the same stepdad molested them. And for the life of me, I just can't understand it. Because I may forgive you for what you did to me, but there's no forgiveness for what you do to my child. So like I said, for everybody out here, I really, really need y'all to think and help me to think because this is hard for me to deal with within myself. I shouldn't even be on the front line because mentally I'm not even here. I'm still trying to get it together. But at least I'll be able to say, if the Most High was to take my last breath or allow me to pass right now, I put distance or put things behind me of my old life and I can say I stood for something, I'll be known for what I'm standing for now, and most of all, I'll be known for being a father. So any ideas you people could come up with, to actually put us on the path of helping other children, this is what I want to do. Even if it comes down to making videos, telling these kids, if you've been touched, tell, speak up. Because they silent. Even when it comes down to young men, it's like, and that's the hardest thing in the world. I don't even understand dudes like, what took you so long? How do you ask somebody? And I gotta put the effort for how the hell you ask a boy that's not gay? Well, why you didn't say nothing? When I put that video out, the first time I put it up, because I put the video out now, right? And when I put it out, some of the brothers in Zulu begged me to take it down. So I took the video down because Muhammad started on the Zulu Warriors, and he was actually employing about maybe 200 people on the job, 120, 80 sometimes, and people were feeding their family. And then there was another brother that was trying to get donations, free donations, for the people in our community or whatever, and they didn't want to mess all of this stuff up. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna take the video down. So when I took the video down, it was almost like a relief because it was like, ew, everybody know you've been touched by a man. I'm a boy, But I guess 8 months later or whatever, Ron Savage, it pops up in the newspaper. Ron Savage story. And mysteriously, somebody put my video out at the same time. So when that happened, I got a phone call. They were saying, yo, they're about to move on you. So I called Bam on the phone. What's going on? Because prior to that, you know, after I put the video up, me and Bam had a meeting. He apologized in front of the council. He apologized. He cried like a baby. He said he was going to step down from the Zulu Nation. He said that he was going to open up something for the youth, to help the youth. And he said he was going to put a tombstone on BL's grave, which still ain't happened yet. And I left the situation alone. You know, Bam was calling me on the phone periodically. He was sending me herbs, all types of stuff like that. You know, been trying to build, you know, a relationship back with me after that. I got text messages in my phone from Bam still. Like I said, the man was like a father to me. When I went to jail, after I lost my mind for multiple homicides, come home, go right back in, he did bids with me. So it wasn't like I never stopped having a relationship with him. It's just that after I came home from jail the first time, I kind of was like, you know, all right, I see him in public, we take a picture. That's the big brother, he like my pops. And I go my own way. But throughout the process of that, I kept hearing the rumors, and it was always eating away. I always wanted to do something, to say something. I thought about all types of stuff, but said, you know what, especially during those days, that's when he was powerful. You would have killed Bam, your whole family would have died. On top of the fact that you would have had people like KRS-One and everybody, the whole hip-hop community would have washed your whole family up. So my life doesn't matter, but you have a family. And you can't protect everybody being in jail. And see, another thing, what it is too, that I know I'm all over the place because my mind, I got to get my mind right. But one thing I want people to understand too is, it's the worst thing in the world to say somebody touched you. On top of the fact that you're a boy and it's a man. And then on top of that, people shun you or turn away from you like, yeah, I know this is true, but just like KRS-One said, you can't touch our authority. This is the pastor, this is the imam, this is the rabbi, this is Bambaataa. I lost a lot of friends dealing in this situation just because of the way they handled this. And I'm not going to sit up there and say it in front like, you know, it didn't hurt me, it did. But at the same time, I'm like, the hell with him. So now when you have a kid that have somebody like an African Bambaataa that's hurting him, and he's hurting a lot of children, please let me tell you, I'll give you one story. I'm not going to even give you too much. Just one. When I was a young, matter of fact, two, Tafiq, the head of his security right now, he was being molested by Bam, but Tafiq grew to be older and helped Bam, or introduced his little brother into Bam. So now you done got the big brother, the little brother. You know, one instant, I'm in a room with Bam. It's me, Kip, and Ali Baba. He got all three of us in the room doing the unthinkable. Lined up, 3 little boys at one time. Another situation on Facebook, I had a brother named Kiwan, right? Kiwan was mad when he actually heard that I mentioned his name. So he texted me or he inboxed, like, Poppy, I ain't do nothing with Bam. All he really wanted me to do was jerk off. So I took the screenshot of it and I put it up there. So that he went further into the argument and he said, Poppy, you the one that told me to go in the room, which was a lie. He said, you the one that told me to go in the room. Kiwan's older than me, but let me keep going. You the one that told me to go in the room with Bam. And then Bam said, here, y'all take this $5. Let me see which one of y'all could jerk off and come the fastest. Now you ask yourself a question, how old was we? And this is how Bam introduced his little lifestyle to little boys, because the first thing he told me when I came around him, do you know little boys are supposed to masturbate? You have to relieve yourself. Then he left me in a room with porno. Then after that is the book. When you sit back and you think, you analyze it, I sat back and I analyzed Bambaataa now, it's like, wow. I actually thought this fool loved me. Like this was my pops. But in all actuality, yeah, that's why he loved something else. He set his foundation up, the Zulu Nation, the way he had it, the way he set it up, was so that he can do what he did. And everybody sat back. And it's like I said in that room, but amen. You've seen me in that room. Why you never pulled me out? Why you never said nothing? Oh, I didn't know I was traveling out. You knew. He knew. The evidence is there. I don't have to prove my case. The pain is there. The damage is there. So many people that I know that he molested. Yo, please don't mention my name no more. I got a family. So I had to stop calling names. I know over 100 people right now from Bronx River that he molested. We're not talking about over no 1, 2, or 3. Over 100. A group of dudes from Zulus from Florida sent me a picture like, yeah, we seen some funny stuff when he was down here like 20 years ago, and I still got the picture. He sends the picture. In the picture, now this is a story I ain't tell, well, I've been telling people, but when I came home from jail, Ben was living in Parkchester. He took me shopping or whatever the case may be, gave me some money, so I went to his house to meet him, and when I got to his house, a childhood friend of mine named David Pacheco was laying on Bam's couch. Now, he was 21 at that time, but Bam been molesting him since he was my age. So I walks in the house, David's laying on the couch, butt naked. I kicks the couch. He looks up, I waved my finger and I left. That was the last time I went to Bam's house. Now, I couldn't say nothing about that situation because now you're 21 years old. But this is what Bambaataa has around him. So now when you're expecting the Zulu Nation to step up to the plate and be the men that they're supposed to be, the majority of them that had intercourse with Bam is still doing it to this day. And I don't care who you are. If you're traveling with Bam, you have an intercourse with him. Because outside of that, there's no reason for you to go. I had a situation where I put a video up recently, right? There was a situation that I had with Bam, and a lot of things that happened was so painful in my mind, I blocked it out. So certain things start to come back to me. Like, I won't even remember. It's like having a drunk night where you don't remember nothing. The things start to come back to you. So I always remember there was a time where Bam had this guy. He made this dude perform oral sex on me. And just recently, I ran into the dude. I was standing outside, hanging out in the projects in front of Bam's building. And the two guys was walking, and one of the guys, he was with him. And I seen the guy, and I grabbed him. And when I grabbed him, I actually took my phone out and started recording, and I uploaded the video. But in the process of me shaking the guy up, the other guy said, he's autistic. And then I could remember when the situation was going on when I was young, I knew there was something wrong about the guy. And now I have autistic kids. So could you imagine what that made me feel like when I realized this dude that I was attacking was autistic? And out of respect for his family, I took the video down. A lot of people attacked me. They was like, why would you put the video up? Because I was caught in the moment. And some people just can't understand that. Bam is a savage. And the reality of it is, when people sit up there and say, like KRS-One, he ain't been to trial, he ain't supposed to make it to trial.
I'm gonna make one quick statement, and then the brother here has a question. But I think, and I hope everybody agree with me, I think the brother just gave one excellent solution. We can't fix everything overnight, but I think you're the person to do it. I know you say you're not strong enough, but brother, you just showed us all in this room that you are strong enough. Facebook is a way to reach the world. I think you should start a group called Black People Against Sexual Abuse. And then all of us in the room that use Facebook, we need to be on that page, sharing information, spreading it, talking about it, make this thing go around the world, say we gotta stop this stuff from happening. And if I could just make one more suggestion. because this is a very serious and difficult thing to discuss, my suggestion would be, I'm not trying to put out any principles on people how to do stuff, but this is something that we want the 10-year-old to be able to look, and the grandmother and everybody. We should refrain from the profanity and a bunch of vulgarity, because what we're talking about happening to our children is vulgar, and we need to have an open space. Black people against sexual abuse in the black community, where people can come and see it and digest it and do something about it. Is everybody in here on board with supporting something like that?
Like I said, the one true hero of all of this is Poppy, and the story he's able to give. And maybe that story will give strength to not only adults, because we got to keep it real. There's adults that have never talked about it. He watched Criminal Minds. I know the episode you're talking about. He watched Criminal Minds, and then that spiraled to what we have today. So imagine how many more adults that have been touched, black women and men, and they've never said nothing. And then you got the little kids that it's happening to today. So we have to make sure that we continue this progress. Let's not just do it for the event's sake. Let's just do it for a true care for the conditions of black people. Something that nobody cares about the plight of black people. So we have to do it ourselves. That's what makes events like this good. The idea that you gave for Poppy to do, I think we should all support it and keep doing it. Like, this should be something next month, like in August, you got the thing on the 20th in DC. We should do something else in New York, do something else somewhere else, and then make this a real movement of what we will not tolerate. That's the thing we can do. Y'all know that phrase, stop snitching. That's in every ghetto USA. And they got there about being in one city first. One city said, one group of black people said no snitching, and now in every ghetto it's like that. Now the same way that wickedness was spread is the same way righteousness can be spread in the same manner. So with that, we're kind of tight on the time. So does anybody have anything they want to say or a question or a comment? He's the first brother that came in? Okay, so he was the first brother that came in all the way from where? Brother traveled all the way from Cincinnati. It shows you that our people that actually care for stuff like this. So you want to come up? We gotta make it short though, because we press for time. All right? I appreciate it.
It's complicated, as y'all can see, but two points I want to make. Why we don't tell, in my case, Brother Irritated, Genie, I want you to hear this. My mother used to say what you said. If anybody ever touch my kids, I'll kill them. Yes. Well, see, the problem is, my mother, I never knew her to have a fight in her life. She's a church lady. She's 93 years old now. I never knew her that she whooped our butts, but I never knew her to actually have a fight. So I knew my mother didn't have the power to kill somebody or the real will, and I didn't want to embarrass my mother by making a failure out of her, by telling her I was molested and having her not carry out her threat. Second of all, these people that you all are describing are psychopaths. That's not the current term. They use sociopath or antisocial behavior disorder, but what we know as psychopaths, they don't care about nobody. What kind of person gonna trick some kids? Had me, because we was in the baseball. Come on, let's play some baseball. Had a vacuum cleaner wand and some balled up paper. So he first let me hit. Then we facing the garage. Then my turn. So then he hit and he knocks the paper wad in the garage, and I run in there to get it, and that thing zoop, garage door down. He's 20, I'm 10. You know, I tried to fight, but I didn't have no win. So, you know, these people, look, study psychopathy, and you will understand a lot. And it's not just a pejorative, you know, to call them a name. It's such things as slick, pathological, continue, everything they say is a lie. Make these great fantasies like hip-hop, you know. So you know, that's my point. Study psychopathy, you will learn a lot more.
I'm gonna get a sister. Give a sister some time.
Hi, family. Okay, hi, family. I just wanted to say thank you. I want to thank you all for just inviting us out and having this kind of forum. I waited 50 years for this to come. I waited 50 years, and my story is that I'm a deacon daughter. So I got molested on Saturday night and watched me pray in the church on Sunday. So that's my story. So, and my whole entire life, there's so many dynamics to that kind of relationship that you can't put in a form like this. We would need a whole lot of time. But let me just tell you this one. When you're involved in something like that, when somebody is touching you, especially as a child, and you're not developed yet, when you don't even understand what sex is, and you're listening to them come from a Bible that tells you that if you do this or if you do that, this or that will happen. They're telling you that this is not supposed to be the way life is. Nobody's supposed to have touches. The only time a woman's supposed to have sex is when she's married. Even the 5%, whatever religion it was always about being sacred. But now I'm no longer sacred. And then, wait a minute, my body responds to touch. Right. So that's where the guilt comes in. That's right. It's the myth that why didn't I tell? Why didn't I tell? Because y'all didn't know how dirty I was. My body responded. And then there's another power play. Check this out. I'm a little girl, and I watch it. Something about a man in orgasm is at his weakest state. So I got the power to see this powerful man in his weakest state. How do I digest that? How do I put all of that into words? How do I do that? How do I become safe? There's no safety for us. And it took a long time, Poppy, and a lot of work for me to get to a place where I'm able to have a relationship, man. And it's still, to this day, there's still certain things that I can't do. You can't touch me in my sleep. There's certain things that I can't, certain music I can't hear, certain smells I can't smell. So I'm so grateful for y'all, man. And check this out. I'm a black spade. Bambada come up under me. I knew he was gay. Most of us knew that he liked boys, but we were kids ourselves. We're talking about 1975. In 1975, I was 15. He was 16. So if he liked the boys, I thought that the boys liked him too. People don't hear about the viciousness that other people do unless they down with the viciousness. We was 40,000 deep. There's a whole lot of us that didn't know. And y'all, I love you, man. And I thank y'all. I love y'all. I watch you. It was like saying, I never heard of the conscious community. I never heard Irritated, Genie. When I watched one of them videos when he was saying that we gotta stop this, I was like, oh God, save. We have to find a way to bring safety to our children. We have to do it. It gotta come from us. Thank you.
The most important thing she said was she felt safe and she saw men defending after what's happening to children. Because if he never says that, if I never says that, she would never get healed. She would never feel anything. And the only way we can give that healing is by battling the unspoken truth that goes on in the black community, that's child molestation. And listen to what she said. She said she knew we liked boys, but she thought everybody liked boys. Because that's what we think in our naiveness. Why? Because we're teenagers, we're children. We're supposed to have the elders or the leaders. If you're a true elder and the only thing you know how to do is talk about some nonsense, you're not an elder. An elder protects the family. Like the other brother gave the story, he said he knew his mama couldn't do it. Daddy wasn't there. The fathers, the men, we have to be the backbone of this community and take it back and make it strong again. All right?
Very, very briefly, as Brother Irritated Genie stated that along the lines of profanity and vulgarity, that there should be an atmosphere in which we present this information. So this question part statement I'm asking along the lines of protocol. This is an extremely sensitive issue for a person to come to grips with and step forward, like Brother Poppy, like Brother Thomas did. So along the lines of protocol, does anyone have the right to publicly state that someone else has had a situation? Should we not accord them the same respect as each of those individuals who decided to come forward? Because that's a major thing, to throw one another individual's life. And, you know, with all due respect, I admire your strength. But there are individuals that you have named that may not have been ready to step forward publicly. So that's a major thing to throw on them. Can't we not establish a protocol that each individual, until they are ready as an adult to make that part of their pain public, do we really have a right to heap that upon them? And I just ask as a question.
I wanted just to go to that because I appreciate what you're saying, because the reality of it, that is something to consider. But I want to take it a different direction. Only because I agree with actually what you're saying, we need to have a protocol, but I gotta say, the real thing we should be saying was that this is the only person brave enough to take a stand. Nobody else is fighting, so it's kind of hard to start throwing shots when a man jumps in the ring and fights a battle that nobody else fights. So I'm gonna say, I don't want to start the kind of conversation off with no criticism, because he's braver than everybody else in the room and probably in the world to come forward with this. So I would say, even though I agree with what you're saying, I think the way we should approach it is, let's discuss all of the protocols, because if that's not protocol, is it protocol for us to be in Brooklyn and Harlem with a pedophile running around, raping children that don't nobody want to do nothing about? Is that protocol? At least he stepped forward to do something, so I just want to put that out.
And just adding on it, remember what the sister said. She said she assumed everybody, like, because they was teenagers, they didn't have nothing. They didn't have no protocol. So now when a brother comes out or a sister comes out, we shouldn't be so quick to say what you can't say, what you cannot say. We should let them say everything. We should let them spill it all out. That brother done strengthened 1,000 more people by that alone. And it's uncomfortable for the people that want to hide it and they don't want the secret to come out. But in the end result, they will feel better. In the end result, they will be healed. When y'all saying protocol, I'm thinking language. I'm sorry. Like saying cuss words. I'm not thinking about protocol like he can't say something about somebody else or something like that. He should be able to express it whatever kind of way. It's like we damn near gonna make him a victim again. So it's like you're gonna say something, but you can't really say nothing. We hushing them. We cannot hush these victims. That's right. Victims should be able to say what they want, do what they want. When they get healed, then we put a protocol. Probably like to cuss all the goddamn time. You seen him up here, right? You seen him up here. He was disciplined, he got better. That's protocol. Fuck everything else.
Captain Tazaryach!
I'm going to make this real brief. Greetings, my people. I'm Brother Twice born from Boston. I came 300 miles for two things, information and freedom. And I got both today. And I want to thank you, Poppy, man, for your courage, man. You gave me freedom. Real talk. You know what I'm saying? For the last 2 or 3 years, man, I've been playing the rear in Boston, you know, taking care of my tribe, which is just 7 children and 9 grandchildren, and on my Facebook doing my thing. But I'm an autodidact, so I'm self-taught. So I've been playing YouTube and internet, this, that, and the third, and piecing the puzzle together. And I seen this hall in the past packed on some other stuff. I'm talking about packed, standing room only. And so I know you say you're not a prophet, but you said some prophetic statement where we should be addressing some real stuff. So you know what? Here we are addressing some real stuff. You got Irritated Genie and the Black Pride movement united with ISUPK, you understand what I'm saying, for the attack on our children, and we got room to spare. That's an indictment on us as the black conscious movement. You know what I'm saying? Real talk, brother. So I just want to say, listen, man, I'm a general for real where I come from. You know what I'm saying? And most stories start once upon a time. The story and then the end. Well, I'm going to begin now. I'm going to reverse it. The end is today I'm standing as a real strong man, a leader in my community. You know what I'm saying? I have a security company that I do personal security cross-country. You understand what I'm saying? The story is, I done had a lot of lovers, man. Crack cocaine, the game, being a gangbanger. You understand? The jails, the penitentiaries. You understand what I'm saying? But today, my lover is truth and freedom. And then the story started, once upon a time, I was 7 years old. And then I was molested. And I wasn't free no more. In my life, that middle story, I'm still feeling ramifications on that today. But today I got freedom. And I want to thank you. I salute you, man. And I salute all that. My brother, I salute you too. I appreciate you, man. And,
that's protocol. That's protocol. Like, and not to harp on that term protocol again, but that shit, I'm about to cuss because I'm about to break
Let it out,
on
Captain.
purpose.
Go.
That shit right there is why people don't talk. Why the kids ain't talking? Because you want to give them protocol. Don't say it this way. Don't say it that way. We have to be careful with what we're doing in our community just because we don't want this person's name mentioned. But we don't mind this person getting molested, but we just don't want his name mentioned. We got to be careful with our thought process because we become slaves to the same mentality. We're trying to break the spell of child molestation. We cannot put limits. Sometimes you got to break the chains and then put boundaries around it. So this is not the time for that because his story is everybody else's story. I'm sorry.
And I want to say this because I don't like thinking stuff and feeling it. I just want to be realistic. I can't say I see the part what you're saying, but I'll be honest. I'm very confused with people when it comes to this. Because that's a confusing question because for me, it ain't that difficult. This man has gone through stuff. He's jumping in a battle that none of us have no precedent how to fight. I don't understand how that kind of criticism can come up. What I'm saying that is, there's a lot of people that say they on board with us stopping child molestation. But then I'm trying to understand how we come up with those kind of things in the midst of what we're talking about here today. That question wasn't rooted in stopping sexual abuse. That question was rooted in stopping him from fighting. And my thing is, I understand. I'm just saying this.
Wait. The other people are victims too now.
I understand.
You can't forget they're victims as well.
And I said, I don't necessarily disagree, but I just want to make this point. And it's not just picking on you, but I'm keeping it real. What I notice is, whenever we start talking about fighting sexual abuse, it's always some but, if, and, or funny kind of thing coming up to throw it off. When we were having this conversation, it was 100% sexual abuse is bad. It's wrong. Brother Poppy is strong. The sister say, let's stop it. We go. And then your question goes, ah! And if we all had gone that direction, we'd be going right back the opposite direction, telling the brother not to talk no more. You can't say this. You can't say that, which is where we just came from. I'm just going to make one suggestion. And I don't want to beat up on him because maybe it's genuine, but I'm going to keep it real. I've been waiting since 15 years old to start chopping bodies. I'm not putting that on nobody, but I'm saying this. I don't want nothing going back the opposite direction. If I have to get out of the way because I'm too scary to people, and wait till y'all give us permission to say, okay, here are the bad guys, those are the ones can't be healed, go get them. I'm cool with that too, because I realize maybe I'm too harsh. Maybe that's part of the reason why this hasn't come and been fixed sooner. So I don't even have the respect to say I'll step back. But I am saying this. I don't want to hear personally nobody coming up here with nothing that puts us back in the wrong direction of addressing this. We need to address it directly. And the issue is the pedophile, not the people that are trying to fight it.
The one thing that I wanted to mention, as I was sitting down there listening to speak. Okay, the one thing I wanted to mention as I was sitting and listening to you both speak is that a lot of times as adults, with our level of maturity and our ability to analyze things, we think about what we did as children in response to adults that manipulated us and were also perverse. Right. We cannot allow ourselves to dictate our behavior then when we had no capacity to think the way that we do at that time. We could, at that time, remember, when we were born into this world, we know nothing. Absolutely nothing. So everything that we learn is based upon the environment and us interacting in that environment. So in that environment, if your interaction happens to be with a perverse person, that's your first contact with that type of thing in this environment that you are just becoming familiar with. So do not analyze how you responded at a time where in which you were still growing, developing, and learning. And that still happens as an adolescent, teenager, as a young adult. And in many instances, we're still not thinking clearly as quote-unquote technically adults. So do not do that to yourselves.
Because there's always a trickle-down effect. Like she said, you grow up with a pervert, it affects so you be an adult in age, but not in your mental because of what transpired. Anybody else would take a couple more? Come on, sis.
I would take a, you're going to stand right there. No sweat. You stand wherever you feel comfortable.
Okay. Peace, everybody. First thing I want to say is, you know, every time I hear Brother Genie and I hear the leader of the ISUPK speaking about this, I'm at home, YouTube. And I just, I start to cry because this is the Creator's work. This is like, really, I don't understand we're not all the same denomination, whatever you pray to, whatever energy you believe in, pray for these men and what they're doing, and pray and pray that the Creator says all the ancestors and the angels and whatever it is that you pray for these people, because there you have the courage to stand up. King Simon too over there. They have the courage to stand up and to actually put their faces out there. That's the main thing. There's probably people maybe in whatever politics who might want to listen you man boy loving people maybe we shouldn't sign this into legislation just yet. Maybe we should, but they're making so much money and they don't want to put their face to it. These men have the courage. That's real manhood. That's real. Oh my goodness. That's. I don't even know what to say. I'm speechless. That is real man. Pray for them. Pray for their protection, and let us help them how we can. And support them. Even if like he said, you want to be the whole hold up, wait, let's be gentle with the pedophiles. No, keep that to yourself. Come up with a program maybe later on. Help them with what they're doing. Because so many millions of children are being affected by this one. The second thing I wanted to ask, two things I wanted to ask. One, how, and for the pop, I don't know. I think when people learn about your story, especially been through this, like you said, you gave that brother freedom. You know, this is why it's so important to share your story, right? Because you're like, thank God I haven't gone through anything like that to a severe extent. Like what the brother brought up earlier, I had a stepfather. That's all I'm gonna say. But I didn't, thank God it wasn't too bad. But still, the fact that you say that. And that you're brave enough to bring, as a man, because as a man, if another man does something to you, that manhood that you want to have and build. So the fact that you bring that up, just keep doing it. Don't let, like the brother said, you are strong enough, and you're more than strong enough. And, as you believe the Creator doesn't give you anything that you can't handle, I wanted to ask you, what is your advice on, now, what about children who have been molested but by other children? Because they learned it somewhere. That's the first thing I wanted to ask. And the second thing, what is the reaction? This needs to be in schools, after school specials, churches. What is the reaction, unless you're going to answer the question first, but what is the reaction when you're going to the churches and schools? So I just went to Atlanta, I'm seeing these slew of churches and these slew of schools, and I'm wondering, I'm like, you know what, they need to know this stuff.
Thank you. The first thing, and I honest to God, matter of fact, I tell you what, to prove it, I'll give them away if you want them. But the very thing that the sister asked about, what do you do with people who've been sexually abused, either by children or anything like that, the reason we created the DVD Predators in Our Midst is because most people, the difficulty in helping them with sexual abuse is that they don't want to feel the shame. So when you make a product that walks them through, shows them it's not their fault, tells them it's not their fault, and then give it to them, they can watch that in the privacy of their own home with nobody watching. They can overcome it and they can become healed on their own. We put it up on YouTube for free. It's called Predators in Our Midst. You can watch it. my suggestion would be that's a very good place to start, because it was created specifically for the purpose of people who don't want to talk about it and not ready to deal with it, to go there, get answers, solutions, to understand how it happens, and also how to protect your children.
Before we continue, I'm going to let the brother speak. The vendors and everybody, we're going to start breaking down. I'm going to let you speak still. But we got to start breaking down. We're supposed to be over at 7, so they it's 7:30. So for all the vendors and everything, the people, y'all can still sit for a while. But if the vendors, if you can start breaking your tables down so we can start getting it packed up. Again, I appreciate everybody coming out and supporting this event. And I also do agree with Irritated Gene. We should have these in the schools. You know, maybe this will motivate black people to do something. You know, that you ain't gotta be afraid to put a face on it. And by putting a face on it, not only do you have a person that's been through it telling a story, but then there's a defender of that story. There's a defender of the people. So I think as we keep going and not letting it die, like if me and him stop doing it, we'll never get to a school of teaching it. We'll never get to understanding why the kids is doing it. So the answer is to keep it going, to keep it pushing and open up more avenues. Thank you, sis.
All right, I'm not holding my tongue for nobody. I'm going to say what I'm going to say. My mother is a straight predator. My mother is a straight predator. He was arrested in Brazil. He did the same thing in Brazil. He did the same thing in Brazil, and he was arrested, but when they found out who he was and they let him go. Malachi York was arrested in 1974. He's a pedophile. You could look it up. It's there. Brother Genie, I didn't know about this kind of stuff until I met Brother Genie. He brought this to me and showed me in this level what this is. Captain Tazaryach, I got to give him great respect, because everything he said today is right and exact. I do research. Captain Tazaryach, this is what you stands for. This is in your book. Go ahead, I'm showing you. This is in your book. See this right here? That's Captain Tazaryach. That's him.
Uh-oh, Captain. That's him. You got it red. Put it on now.
That's him.
Put it on now.
Brother Irritated Genie.
Put that African
Brother
warrior
Irritated
on
Genie.
now.
In Kemet, this is what we stand for. This is what we got to do to this beast. This is what we got to do to this beast. We got to kill this beast by any means necessary, like Malcolm X said. Thank you.
All right, I just got a quick statement and a quick question for our brother Poppy. To Poppy's children, please, as your father said, don't be afraid of anyone. Somebody come at you, you come to him. All of these strong black men you see have his back, and each one of us have 2 or 3 with us. Please don't be afraid. I say that because I have 6 daughters and nieces and little cousins, and a couple of little girls in my family slept through the cracks on my watch, and I feel guilty about that. That's my first statement. I got your back, bro. Second, and my question is, was KRS-One in that book that he showed you?
You know what? I will not lie. I can't tell a lie. I didn't see KRS-One in the book. I didn't see him in there.
I wish he was in the book.
I just want to say, man, to me, Brother Poppy is one of the bravest brothers in the room right now. Because it takes courage, it takes guts for a black man to stand up here and tell the world what happened to him. How many of us would have came out and did that, man? A lot of us would have held it in. This brother had courage, man. Give it up for our brother Poppy, man.
Again, I appreciate everybody coming out, man. It was an excellent event, excellent turnout. I want to give a shout out to Straight Black Pride. I can't give them enough props. ISUPK and Commander Jenny Ahana. The vendors that came out and supported the next event that we have, please support it. August 20th, this brother will be in DC, and we'll be working on stuff.
Brothers and sisters, please do not forget, Brother Poppy, everybody, brothers and sisters, because we don't want you to leave without this. This is our homework and our assignment. Brother Poppy's going to start the Black People Against Sexual Abuse on Facebook. It's going to be a page that all of us can like and put stuff up on there talking about this issue. Don't forget to find it. This will be this week, and we'll spread it all around, all right? Thank you, brothers and sisters.
Thank y'all for coming out. Shalom.
Trying to find something to follow. Had loyalty, every man tried to borrow. Felt pain and a lot of sorrow. Got betrayed, so packed, I didn't even have my heart broke. Living confused, about to lose hope. Cops got me on the side of the road like a sideshow. Need an antidote before I croak. Now I'm setting fire to rhythm man blues. Call this guitar smoke. Rebel with no cause, trying to find direction. The world got me vexed. Picked up a bad liquor habit that's hereditary from oppression. Felt like my life was on fire, trying to find an exit. Now look, 10 G's plus a good record. Sometimes a follower is a soldier, trying to find a good shepherd. Plus when you in hell, how do you excel? Wisdom the breath of life, I don't believe in fairy tale. Listen well to what I tell. No calling can cause pain, something that a rebel knows very well. Can't you tell I was sent from the Lord?